have to specially request that gets turned off.
Because everybody be looking at themselves in the camera.
And by everybody, I mean me.
Oh, no, shit, me too.
I see the changes happening. I'm like, oh my God, squirrel, like over and over and over.
Is that my good side? Hold on, is that the cool side of my hat? I don't think it is.
But yeah, Brazilians going way too hard when Leo shows up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. They have some kind of Brazilian magical connection, and as soon as they hear his voice, they want to turn it up a notch, and you're just like holding on for dear life. I'm 42 years old. Chill out, bro. I don't care that much. It's my 4th round. I taught 3 classes today. Relax.
Fucking chill.
But at the same time, it's kind of like those things where it's like unnecessary pressure. You know, I mean, not unnecessary pressure, but I think it's unwanted pressure. But then once it happens, you're grateful that it did happen. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they're helping push you to the next level. We talk about tournaments all the time. I said, when we're preparing for tournaments, if you're a teammate and your person is trying to compete, when they're starting to die at the end of the round, it's your job to motivate them to keep coming. Like, no, keep pushing. Don't stall now. Keep pushing. Don't stop. You're not tired. So at the same time, when they're doing that, I kind of appreciate it afterwards. I'm like, you know what? I kind of wanted to be a little pussy and quit right then, and you didn't let me. And I think that's one of the beautiful things of jiu-jitsu is your level of effort kind of has to be there because there's another person. Mm-hmm. Right? If it was just a solo sport, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. You could take time off. It's kind of like going to the gym by yourself.
Yeah.
You can take breaks, look at your phone, relax, chill. It's part of the reason why I liked F45 to kind of get me started in the motivation because the coach was yelling at me. Other people were moving in the station. I had to do it. It wasn't an option.
Yeah, you couldn't just kind of cop out and be like, I think I'm going to go to the bathroom and go get water and stare at, Instagram and cop out of it.
Yeah, I realized a long time ago that if I have an option, I'm going to take the easy route. And that was just from self-reflection. And so I was like, okay, I need the pressure. The best things in my life came from when my dad was yelling at me, when the teachers were going to suspend me, when the cops threatened me, when I was about to lose my home. When back's against the wall and the pressure's there, that's when the best version of myself comes out. And when things get comfortable is when I relax, take the foot off the gas, like, okay, we're good. Right. And then every time you do that, you've probably seen this in your life too. It starts to trickle back down and then you're like, oh, I got to ramp it back up. So I guess the challenge, that I'm trying to find in myself right now is how do I keep that from happening? How do I keep the motivation even when things get good? One of the things that real estate guy Grant Cardone talked about is he always stays broke.
Yeah.
He said, as soon as that money hits my bank account, I put it and invest it. I'm broke all the time. So I have to keep that hunger. And that's something that in the next evolution of my life, I'm trying to work on, like for sure.
It's really easy to do that. I mean, like what we were talking about with the Section 8 stuff, it's like I routinely go through. I'm like, okay, cool. Like you get paid and you have a good little payday and then you dump all that money into the, 30% of it you pull out, you put it into the bank for taxes. I learned that lesson the hard way, not stashing enough money for taxes my first year.
Same.
And I was like, oh shit, I still owe all of this money and I don't have all of it. I need to go sell another home just so that all of those proceeds can pay my tax. Fuck. Yeah, you take the money, put it away for taxes, dump the rest of it into either some account to save up to buy a house or down into a house. And then you're like, okay, I have no more money again. Okay, I need to go repeat this.
That's one of the hardest things about being an entrepreneur, that you basically pay yourself, because every dollar goes into my account, but every dollar's not mine because it's the government's, right? And so in the beginning of starting my business, I took the bare minimum I needed to survive. Well, that didn't include taxes. I'm taking $4,000 to $5,000 a month because that's what I need to live, right? So I'm making $60,000 a year, but I still have to pay taxes at the end of the year. And now I'm like, but I don't have that money because I'm breaking even throughout the year. So now I have an $8,000 tax bill that's carrying over to the next year or whatever. And then, yeah, so there's a lot of things that people think, it's so funny. People tell me all the time, like, oh, you're so lucky and you got it so easy and you got this and you own your own business and, oh, you just get to, this is hilarious. But my girlfriend has 2 kids and one of their biggest jokes to me is they say, Rick, mucho dinero, Paquito trabajo. And I'm like, oh, you don't think I work a lot because I'm playing with you, right? You don't realize, like, a 9 to 5, actually, generally speaking, is easier because I tell people all the time, when I started my own business, I worked 24 hours a day. Saturday at 8:30, Friday at 10:30 at night, jumping on Zoom calls, answering calls. There's no like, hey, I'm going to turn off my text and email after work so I can spend time with my family. And the girls I date and the people that I'm around, I have to, make them understand, like, look, If I'm on my phone, you need to know that that's how we're paying for where we are right now. And you gotta, I told my girl the other day, it's like, if you like this lifestyle, if you want to keep eating like this, if you want to have that car, you got to understand that I'm gonna have to walk away with my phone at 7 p.m. at night on a Friday, and you just got to know.
Yeah.
And not let it get to you and not worry about like, oh, you're spending too much time on your phone and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but do you want a Lamborghini?
It's a trade-off game. I was getting text messages last night at like 9:30, and I was like, I would do anything in the world to just throw this phone in the river. I was talking to my dad about that. Like the neighborhood that I'm selling, I was like, as soon as this thing sells out, I'm putting my phone in a lake, and I'm disappearing for about a month, and then I will come back. But it's like you're so glued to the phone. It's like it is your freaking god, basically.
Yeah, we talked about my girl doesn't like social media. She doesn't have social media, which is awesome. And I told her, I don't like it and I don't want to do it, but I have no choice. I have to be that guy. That's my business, and that's what I have to do. So it's like one of those necessary evils that I would love to get to a space, which I'm trying to get to right now, to where I can build up. Well, thanks to AI, it's probably going to be possible a little bit faster, but where I can get to a place where my content is generating itself, and I don't have to, constantly monitor my phone. Because what I'm trying to do is get somebody else to answer my notifications, reply to my DMs. If there's something personal, let me know. Let me jump on. But to where it's so funny. It's kind of like when you're poor or lower class, or you can't make ends meet, or you're living check to check. You're always checking your bank account. Can I spend that $63? One of the things me and my mother talked about all the time is the number one best day of our life is going to be the day that we don't have to look at our checking account every day when we make a transaction. That's when we know that we're like, oh, thank God, I can breathe a little bit, and I don't have to transfer $38 to my savings account to then pay for the water bill. And if I just delay this bill, that's probably the worst thing in life. And I'm trying to do that same thing with social media. How can I get to stop answering the vibration in my pocket, stop looking at every little red notification, every little ding? It's doing something to our mind. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it myself, and I want to find a way to detach. So you said something earlier about getting separation. One of my number one goals in life is to be a monk for 90 days.
Okay.
So I'm really big into martial arts. I love the lifestyle. I love Bruce Lee, and I love expanding cultures. I've been American for 42 years. I know what that's like. I'm good on that. I want to go travel to Tibet, Thailand, whatever it is, live for 90 days as a monk, live the traditional lifestyle as best that I can, and really just like almost completely detox. Detox America, detox technology, detox all my addictions to dopamine from all these interactions, and just like do an Operation Reset and find out what I'm really about, right? And find out other cultures. I think that's important. There we go.
I've seen a bunch of people talk about dopamine detox and that kind of thing. I've gone through periods. I'll go through periods where I'll just delete the TikTok off my phone, and like I keep it on there because I like to talk a little shit in my comments. I think it's kind of funny. It's so fun. You sit there and people are just like screaming into the void, and you're just sitting there poking the bear a little bit. But I feel like my inner monologue is amplified when I don't have it on my phone. When I sit there and I will just like, even if it's an hour total or 45 minutes total a day of just sitting there scrolling. When I delete it, when I'm driving around, I will just find myself like asking more questions of the world and asking more questions of myself and in business and all these different things. And I think it does something to like stifle that, at least in me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Especially too when, like you said, you're making your own thoughts. Really, we're consuming other people's thoughts, right? They could be manipulation, or probably are manipulation 9 times out of 10. So if you have a time to kind of clear your mind, yeah, dude, I'm the exact same way. I'm trying to figure out ways that I can kind of detox my brain from that. But at the same time, you know what I thought about that makes it really tough is how old are you?
28. Just turned 28.
So you may or may not have experienced this part of life, but I lived semi-adult life without the internet, and you hung out with your friends in person and had these conversations and joked about stuff. And like, I think about it right now, I'm a huge Falcons fan. I have nobody to talk to about that. I don't have my buddies sitting around talking about the game in person and we're joking around, and like, I don't have that anymore. So now I have to do it online.
It's all online.
So really, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have anybody to communicate and talk about my favorite hobbies and my favorite things going on. Now, jiu-jitsu is different because we're obsessed with everyone around us is jiu-jitsu. But like, what about your other hobbies? What about your other things? What if you like, art about turtles? And you don't have a friend to talk about, and now you have an entire online community you could reach out to, and you guys can nerd out at 12 a.m. on
turtle art.
Turtle art, exactly.
It is kind of weird because it is simultaneously the most connected and also the most disconnected time. Yeah,
Let me not dumb you.
No, no worries. I'm going to throw a Zen in a little bit, so don't worry about it.
Hold on, let me just find a trash can of some sort.
Yeah, no worries.
Well, because last time I was recording, had a lot of gum chewing. I just thought about that right now. And then when I listen back to it, I get annoyed.
Dude, I was in Chicago taking a class for a week, and for a period of time, there was a gentleman sitting right behind me, and he was just smacking his gum so loud. And it was one of those things where, like, in the morning, like, you know, had coffee, had breakfast, it was fine. Like 12 o'clock, hadn't had lunch yet, starting to get a little hungry, and I hear that, like, smacking. I was like, please make it stop. Please make it stop. Just like the hangry, whatever. Exactly. You're like, turn around, like, please, man.
How many look backs?
Oh, there was one day, I think it was like 3. I was like, please stop.
Wild story. I always got to be this guy, man. I don't know. I tell people all the time I'm the chosen one. So I'm at the movie theater, right? Going to see Nightmare Before Christmas, which is hilarious because my girlfriend bought the tickets for her kids. And after the movie, she goes, do you think that was the same movie or do you think that was a new one that was remade? And I was like, that was exactly the literal same movie from the 80s, just in 3D. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe we just watched that again. And I was like, wait, you didn't know that? She's like, no, I thought it was a new movie. I was like, because the whole time we were watching the movie, I'm like, I thought we were doing it for the kids, you know? And I'm just like, oh my God, I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I'll just kind of suffer my way through it, right? And then afterwards, they were like, that movie wasn't new. And I was like, wait, you guys thought this was new the whole time? I could have stopped this.
You were like, this could have been.
This guy could have.
We could have not even come here. This could have
we
been.
could have went to watch the Lion King movie or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we're sitting there, we're watching the movie, right? And there's 12 people in the theater. And of course, you know, they all got to sit near each other. We all got to be in some little...
Got to be in a little cluster in the middle of the theater instead of spread out.
And so the people behind us, there's 3 teenage girls, and they were making a lot of noise. Talking, laughing, joking. Probably the same thing I did when I was a teenager. I don't really remember. And everybody was getting kind of annoyed and agitated, and you could tell everybody kept looking back. Of course, they don't take any social cues.
None.
And then they started turning on the flashlight on their phone, and it would, like, go across the screen, and it'd be like... all right, like, come on, man.
Relax.
Yeah. By the 5th time, I was like, okay, how many more instances before I get up and say something, right? How many more? You know, I was in that mode. And they did it one more time, and I'm like, oh, God, I got to get up and go tell these people. And then I'm looking at them. I took a look back, and I'm like, they're like 14-year-old girls. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to go get the people, right? And then the people in front of me, like diagonally, there's 3 people. They all of a sudden like turn around and they're like jerking around. All 3 of them look. And then they're talking in between. They're not watching the movie. And they've been chill the whole time. So then I was like, I just looked at them. I'm like, hey, what's up? Are y'all good? And they're like, no, they just threw something at us. And now they're hiding. And so I look back and all the girls are ducked down behind the chair. And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, okay, I got you. Get up, go tell the manager. But, you know, shout out AMC. I walked in there, and the guy said, hey, man, what's up? You know, what's going on? I said, man, I got some kids in there being annoying. It was fine. They're talking, lights, all good. But then they threw something, and the people in front of me got agitated. Now the whole theater's disrupted, all 12 people. Can you just help me out here? Shit, they were not playing. They're like, security, boom. When I tell you they were marching... they were marching.
Like,
it wasn't like...
lined them up and were like, door.
Oh, it wasn't like they were nervous and like, oh, gosh, okay, yeah, I'll go say something. I'll help you. They were like, okay, yes, sir, no problem. Security. Excuse me, watch out. And I was like, oh, shit, this is like official. Dude, they're like, flashlight. They're like, hey, you 3, get your stuff. Nope, grab your purse. Nope, get your candy. Nope, you. Yep, y'all got to go. Come on, let's go. March it out. I was like, oh, my God. I did not expect it to go that official, but I was appreciative, and I got free tickets.
That's nice.
And everybody did.
They comped the whole now 9 of y'all.
Yeah, exactly. The whole theater.
Now 9, the entire theater. I mean, I bet they really kind of have to be on their shit now because there's so much streaming and there's so much online. It's like if someone's going to go to the movies and actually go like partake in the experience, they're probably like, you 3 fucking kids aren't going to come in here and screw this up.
To rewatch a free movie from 1983. There's 9 people. They made $46. They were like, yeah, you got to get the hell out of here. We just lost money.
Exactly.
Buy some popcorn on your way out. Thank you.
Please. We'll comp the tickets. Just go buy concessions, please.
Yeah.
Please, God.
Yeah, so I think that. But then when I talked to him, he's like, oh, as soon as they were making noise, you should have said something. I was like, nah, I'm not that. You know, people make noise all the time. But then it was like, okay, you know, they got kind of annoying. So, yeah. Thought that was interesting. But it's so funny because There's two things in life that have been super wild to me. A, not enough people stand up for other people in society and stand up to problems. I see all the time. You see those streamers that like walk and like bump into people or do obnoxious things or see people getting abused or see people getting in fights, and everyone's just a bystander.
Yeah.
Like watching, filming, like, oh my gosh, what's going
Scared
on?
to interact.
It's like, bro, somebody step up and do something. I think if you're filming or you're just watching, you're just as to blame as the person doing it because you could have stopped it.
Jumping off the streamer thing, I saw one of these guys. He was like running around. I think it was some mall in Miami or somewhere, and he was trying to get content. And there was this guy and this girl going up this escalator, and this guy leans across the escalator and like touches the girl. Yeah, the guy reaches over, grabs him by the collar, and drags him from like the descending to the ascending escalator. And I was like, thank God,
finally
put the little fucker in his place. Exactly. Oh, it like blew up. I saw it all over fucking, I think, Twitter, not X. I'm calling it Twitter. I saw it all over like Twitter and TikTok and shit. And I was like, yeah, like there's so many of those kids that are like these like scrawny little 18-year-olds that will hire security to go around and like disrupt people going about their days. Like, you are the worst kind of human being.
Literally the worst.
Just so that you can, I mean, also, I don't even know anyone in my generation that watches streamers. Like, that's the thing to me is like, you see all these people, it's like they're making all this money. It's like, who the fuck?
Kids.
It can only be kids.
Kids and lonely adults. Really lonely basement, grandmother's basement adults. Now, don't get me wrong. I watch some streamers just for fun on certain games and certain hot topics when things are coming.
Yeah.
I watch them and I think they're funny and entertaining. But the people who watch them every day and subscribe to them, they're either very lonely. Actually, we're developing a society now that I think about that it's hard for me because I've lived half my life with it and half my life without it.
Yeah.
These kids have only known it.
Mm-hmm.
So really, when people say like those people are antisocial, they're actually probably more social, but to a negative effect because they have so much reach and so much, you know what I mean? At least when I grew up, it was kind of contained on what I could learn and what my influence was. And now think about their influence. It could be anyone and everyone, right? And so I think they're just trying to find, it's kind of like escapism, trying to find family, trying to find support. The TV, the radio, the iPad, the phone is raising the children.
I've got, as soon as I said, I don't know who's watching these streamers, my youngest nephew is 9. And it's like he'll watch Mr. Beast, like he'll watch like all those videos and stuff like that. And so I'm like, yeah, I guess there is that. But I never grew up without the internet. Like, I was born in 1996, so it was like the internet was like in full swing by the time I was like in middle school. But it was like, I'm thinking back now, and it's like all the guys that I was playing travel baseball with, all the guys that I went to like high school with and was like hanging out with, we would all jump on Call of Duty.
Yep.
That was like social hour. Like, or we would go to someone's house and we would have like a sleepover and stay up till 5 o'clock in the morning, all playing the game. Like,
that was ours too. We played Halo.
Okay, yeah.
So Halo and Xbox Live came out my second year of college.
Oh,
and
Jesus.
so when I was in the dorms, it was like the hottest thing. And so we were connected in the dorms. Like, we'd send the cable down to the dorm, be like, all right, dorm 2 versus dorm 4. Let's go. Lock out Halo.
That's sick.
Who's the king? That was so.
Where'd you go to college?
Valdosta State University.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah. So I started in, brother, this is why college is, man. I went to college to be as far away from my family as humanly possible that the Hope Scholarship would allow, which is Valdosta State, 18 miles away from the Florida border.
You were like, I'm going as far south as I can go.
Not to mention my 2 best friends, 2 girls, shout out Sarah and Julie from high school. They went there too.
Okay.
And I just wanted to be comfortable. I think that was part of it too. It's like, well, I'll just go where they're going and try to figure this thing out. I think I went originally for business management because it was like, I don't really know what I want to do, man. I'm 18 years old. And it's so funny because I look back now and I have no connection whatsoever to anything I wanted to do or anything I learned, or it's wild. So ended up going there and doing business management. My buddy, so it's funny because I always did art growing up. My mom liked to make crafts and do paintings, and so we would draw all the time, but I never, it was just a hobby and something I did on the side for fun. And then my buddy Manny, while we were in college, we used to smoke a lot of pot and paint.
Sinning.
Yeah, exactly.
Sinful behavior.
We were
Rick.
putting our feelings on canvas.
Okay.
And I started enjoying it and fun, and I found an outlet for my emotions.
Okay.
So for me, anytime I got sad or excited about something and passionate about something, I would paint. And that's the way I got out my emotions. And then eventually I noticed I want to be an artist. Well, right around that time is when Pixar movies started to come out. Video games really took it to the next level. And I was like, ooh, I really want to do like graphic design. Like that is so cool how they're doing that 3D animation and all of that stuff. Well, Valdosta State at that time only had traditional art. They didn't have computer art or anything like that. So I learned.
What year is this?
This was 2001 to 2004.
Okay.
So what I was doing is sculptures, paintings, you know, fine art, that type of thing, which I loved and was awesome. But eventually I wanted to do the graphic design. So I started getting really big into Halo. I was playing Halo in the games all the time, and I was going to tournaments, and there was online forums. That thing had just started with AOL chat and all of that.
Yeah.
And then I would see kids, and they had like little Halo signatures with little graphic design. I'm like, that's so cool. Like mine just says my name. Like I don't remember what it was, Scorpio 420 or something. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. How do I make that? And so I go on YouTube and I'd learn like, oh, you can make this little signature with like, I don't know, Microsoft Paint at the time. I don't even remember what I was using.
That was like exactly.
Yeah, that might have been it, right? And then you make one, you'd be like, oh, this is so cool. And then so that's made me start falling in love with it. And then I saw my first Halo montage.
Yeah.
And I was like, that guy, and I was really good at the game. And I was like, that guy just made a clip of, he's like the best in the world, which he wasn't, but he made a montage so it looks like he was.
Yeah.
Right. And so as I started to dive there, I was like, oh, this is the route I want to go. I like doing video editing. I like doing content. And so I transferred to the Art Institute of Atlanta because I wanted to come back to my family, and that's one of the best schools. And so I went there, got a degree in graphic design, fine art, that type of thing, and that's what I did.
No shit.
And then, and that's when at the Art Institute of Atlanta, I found out that I'm not a natural artist, and that there's 18-year-old kids that were born with the best talent you've ever seen in your life. Class number 1, I see the girl drawing, and I'm like, I'm hoping to get there by the end of my career. And you did that on day 1.
And that's her
naturally.
At 18.
And she draws anime like it's nothing. And then I see their paintings, and I'm like, okay, you're a professional artist. So then I was like, okay, this is not going to work out for me. I still did it because it was my passion and something I wanted to do. But as I graduated, I slowly realized, especially with after my jobs, that I'm better at the big picture. Mm-hmm. I know what I'm looking for. I know the design. I know the direction. I just don't know the best way to execute it. And so throughout working at different marketing agencies, I discovered that I work good with artists.
Okay.
Hey, man, here's what I'm thinking. You know that vision? We've seen that video, that Mr. Beast. You remember this? Let's take that. And they're like, okay, got you.
You can come up with the theory behind it, and then like, now you go actually make it reality.
And then they take it to the next level. And they're like, I know what you're trying to do, but let's do it like this. Right. And I'm like, thank you. Like, yes, that's what and then it's faster. It looks better. And so I've started to go to more of the creative director instead of the executioner. And that's actually worked out better for me. You know,
what made you open up your own marketing company? So like you're working in a bunch of different ones. And like, when did you make that jump?
Yeah. So I worked at a couple agencies. And the thing that I noticed about myself, and this happened to me in school, and this happened to me a lot of different times, is I never worked well with authority. I was raised in a single mother home, and from an early age, my mother was the only person I listened to, and sometimes not even that. And so I wasn't good at taking direction and falling in the box and following the machine and doing everything that everybody wanted. I was always like I talked earlier about I was always a disruptor. Like, hey, but can't we do it this way? And they'd be like, hey, man, like, well, just do the program. I'm like, but I can't do the program.
But fuck the program.
There's an easier, better way to do it. Like, and I just could not live with that. Like, I could not do it, right? And so as I worked through these careers, not only did that happen, but what I noticed is they would always motivate me to take it to the next level. And then I would, and nothing would come of that. Mm-hmm. And take it to the next level, and then nothing would come of that. And I saw everyone else getting richer. I saw the business growing. But I wasn't being fulfilled financially or spiritually. And I'm like, okay, switch jobs. I'll tell you right now, if you're working a 9 to 5 and you're looking to increase your income, the number one way is to switch jobs. Mm-hmm. You will immediately get a 20 to 25% raise if you switch jobs. You will never get a 25% raise of the job you're currently at. It will not happen. If you want to make that leapfrog, 2 year, there's your 120 grand.
I've seen so many people, like particularly boomers, that are like, whatever happened to loyalty to a job? And it's like, why the fuck would I have loyalty to a job that has no loyalty to me? The instant that company can outsource my job or automate my job and I don't make financial sense, I'm gone. So if it makes more financial sense for me to say, fuck you, I'm going to your competitor because they're giving me a 25% raise, why would I stay?
You're speaking my language. When's the last time a business gave an employee a 2-week notice? They do not.
They just say, hey, sorry, you're being terminated. If they're feeling nice, here's your severance.
Unless you have a great relationship and you need that relationship to move forward, fuck a 2-week notice. They are completely scamming you. And plus, what I've noticed a lot of times is you put in your 2-week notice and they fire you anyway. Hey, I tell you what, let's just go ahead and split because they're trying to protect their property. And I get that because then you're not going to work that hard. You might steal some things. Totally understood. But there's absolutely no loyalty. None. And the same thing, Jiu-Jitsu owners, you want loyalty to people to come train with you all the time and do all this and do all that and never train at another gym and never go to an open mat and only wear your stuff and all that bullshit.
Yeah.
If your guy stops paying their membership, hey man, I had a death in my family. I can't afford $150 a month in 3 months, but I can be back. And it'll be like, hey man, just come back when you can.
Yeah.
If there is true loyalty, Greg probably does this. Hey man, just keep training. Don't worry about it. Just keep training. Talk to me later. We'll get it figured out. That's loyalty.
That's loyalty.
But if you want to find out if your instructor and your gym is truly loyal to you, tell them you had a hardship and you can't pay for the next 2 months. Let's see what their reaction is. And you'll find out right then. It's a two-way street, man. It's a two-way street. And that's when you start to find out like, oh, well, my friend, hey, listen, we care about you a lot, but hey, just take.
Ain't no loyalty.
Ain't no loyalty.
I was going to say, there's a lot of that where it's oddly cult-like.
Very.
I trained at one school in Auburn, Alabama for like 3 months. I didn't know what I didn't know. And then I started training at Odyssey like 3 years later. So it's like those are the only two places that I've known, but I've heard stories about places where it's like, you're not allowed to train anywhere outside of here. You're not allowed to wear any sort of gear that's not this. And it's like, that's a cult. That's fucking weird.
I'm going to split those two. The first one about training at other places and going to a private with this person and going to the event for that person, that to me is deep-rooted in insecurity. If you are worried about your training partner or your student leaving for another person, then you know for a fact you are not delivering the quality of product you're supposed to be delivering. I'm never worried about my students leaving me because I know what I deliver. And if they leave, it's just a personal choice. And I know that I delivered a world-class product. But if you know you're not, that's when you're worried. Hey, don't go over there. So it's funny, my very, very first instructor, and we have no beef whatsoever. He was a blue belt. I learned from him for like 6 months. My ex at the time was like, hey, jiu-jitsu down the street in a karate place. It was one of those kind of deals. He was just a guy on the side who had a 6:30 jiu-jitsu class.
Okay.
I didn't even know that there was real jiu-jitsu schools, that the belt mattered, I was just like, I don't know, it's a Asian or Brazilian martial art, and there's a guy who knows it, and he's going to teach me. You know, that's as far as I knew. I didn't even know what blue belt meant.
Yeah.
Went and trained on him under that, and in the first month, and I don't know if it's he didn't believe in me, he didn't want to get me hurt, or it was his insecurity. But I told him, of course, my friends who trained, they encouraged me. After a month, they're like, hey, you should do a Naga. You know, that's how it always starts. Your first white belt tournament's got to be Naga. You got to go the most hardcore that there possibly is. You could die, but it'll be all right. And if you survive a Naga, you can do anything. And so, shout out Naga. That's no knock to those guys. I like it. It's just, come on, man. If you've been to multiple tournaments, you know Naga's going down. So he tells me, he's like, man, you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm going to do it anyway. I wrestled in high school. Like, what's the worst that can happen? It's just like being on the mat, right? And I competed. And you know what the number one thing I took away from it was? Holy shit, jiu-jitsu's huge. Wait, these people got teams? Who are all these people? Wait, there's a team here and there's a team there. And they got all these schools and T-shirts and they're all cheering. And I'm here by myself with my mom and my friend.
Oh, and he didn't even show up to...
No, which I don't blame him for that. Yeah. We weren't a real team. We had 6 students. He was a guy, right? It wasn't like something official. But I think part of me always thought that he didn't want me to see the other opportunity was out there.
He didn't want you to see what was outside.
Because he knew I was one of his better students and I was learning really fast. And I think he was like, if he goes, he's going to see Alliance. He's going to see Gracie. He's going to see them. And then he's going to, you know. And that's exactly what happened. Literally. I was like, okay, I got to take this game. Because once you compete, and I think I got like 2nd in no-gi, like 3rd in gi, and I did pretty good. I was like, ooh, I got the itch. Now I want to get better.
Yeah.
And then my friends were like, hey, you know, you should go train at this gym because they got this, and you should go try this out and do a couple open mats. And I was like, okay, I got to change.
You're
They
like,
got
"All right,
40
let's
guys
go."
I can compete against instead of these 5 guys that are pretty much hobbyists. They're all 30, 40-year-old men. At the time I was 28, I was still very hungry, very active, and it just didn't fit. It's kind of like if you plug in like the 18-year-old kid with the 40-year-olds, he's like, I'm pushing harder than they are. You
Yeah.
know? And so then I eventually changed. So I think that was part of it, him just being like, I don't want him exposed to what's out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can imagine you're.
It's why my girlfriend doesn't want me to go to Colombia. Just kidding. She said, all the chicas will love you.
Is your girlfriend Colombian?
Yeah, she's
Okay. Yeah. You can go to Medellin, well, anywhere but Medellin.
yeah. I think that's where she's from too.
She's like, yeah, so places you're not allowed to go.
Just
One,
kidding, baby.
there.
Just kidding. I love you.
She won't watch this. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She doesn't have social media. We survived.
Yeah, exactly. You're fine.
But one of you son of bitches will clip it and send it to her. I know how you toxic bastards work.
Hey, what is that guy that he's like, game is game? He's sitting there, he's like eyeing your spot. He's like, I got to find a flaw with Rick. What can we do here?
Oh, that's my entire
They're
life.
fucking plotting on you.
Brother. It's so funny you say that because I talk to people all the time. Like, first of all, ego aside, I'm just talking very openly. I've always been a very like reliable person. I deliver. I'm helpful. I'm thoughtful. Pretty much 100%. I tell people all the time, if you find a flaw in something I did wrong, please tell me right now because you won't. I show up every day. There ain't nothing you could ever say. And so I tell people all the time that I find people that, quote unquote, haters, that they're just waiting for an opportunity. They sit there and they're like, he can't be that perfect. There's got to be something. See, there it is. That little post right there that he made about, and then why are you posting about good things? Because people who do good things would just do it without the camera.
I've seen a bunch of comments basically that say, or videos that say something to the effect of there is no one that is talking shit to you online, like going out of their way to talk shit, that is doing better than you.
No.
And I've had people that literally every single time, there have been a number of people, and eventually I block them. Like I'll sit there and like poke the bear for a little bit. They will follow me. In every video that goes up, they'll say some negative shit. And I'm like, brother, what are we doing? Get a life. Go touch grass. I don't know. Do something productive.
You could just keep scrolling. You could just
or
unfollow me.
You don't have to watch.
I have people that talk shit about my content all the time. And it's funny, actually, they don't like any of my good stuff. They don't comment on any of my good stuff. Most of the time, they don't comment on any of my bad stuff, quote unquote bad, or whatever they perceive as bad. They message other people and say, hey, did you see this content that Rick put up and what is he thinking and what's he doing and all this stuff? And then that person comes to me and is like, yo, so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like,
shit.
Bro, just keep scrolling. It ain't that serious, especially for people who don't understand social media.
Yeah.
They think there's a part of the society that uses social media to connect with people, learn about news, connect with their family. They don't understand what it's like to be a content creator.
Zero.
And what it takes and the ideas you have to come up with and that you have to shoot your shot 100 times and 98 of those are going to fail. And it's just part of the process, bro.
Trying to explain to people that it's like, well, you made this video and said that, and like, therefore, it's like, you don't understand. You're looking at this one video as this one video. I'm looking at that one video as that was something that I wanted to test out of this batch of 100 videos that I put out, and it did poorly. You're right. And guess what? That gives me info that I can go back and iterate on. And then guess what? I'll shoot another 100 and I'll do less of that. And the one that I had that blew up, I'll do more of that. And we'll just keep playing this stupid little game until
exactly right.
You get to where you want to get to. I don't know. I've been really fortunate. Everyone at Odyssey, all of my friends have all been, at least to my face that I know of, have all been really supportive of me doing stuff. I see people talk, like, and hearing that, like people talking shit. I have no doubt that people talk shit about my videos. I have no doubt that there are people that I went to college with or girls that I've dated or like whatever the case may be, they're like, oh, fucking stupid video and like whatever. And like, that's fine. You can hate it. That's whatever. But at least on my face, everyone's been super.
Yeah, they're a super supportive group. I love Odyssey. I mean, I don't even know. I think I got introduced to Odyssey from, so I think I was in an Atlanta Open and we were doing some coaching and I'd heard about Greg somehow, some way, or I saw his Marcelo post and I knew he was Alliance. And I think we just rubbed shoulders, and I was like, hey, I just want to introduce myself, blah, 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 blah. And we started talking. We had an instant connection. And he's like, oh, you should come by my gym, do an open mat one time, or come to my class. Cool. Check it out. And all the guys were super cool. And it was like instant hit it off. And I was like, oh, these guys are cool. So I think you guys just have a great culture where everyone's just ultra supportive and there's no like constant insecure competitions and things like that. And so, no, I mean, I love you guys' culture for sure.
It's been cool. It's been really cool seeing it grow because, like, when I started at Odyssey, it was November of 2020. A big class was like 12, 14 people. It was like a big class. I remember Lenny wouldn't let me roll my first class. And then the second class, I literally had learned like I had attempted to learn, I think, like a John Wayne sweep from half guard. Then it was like the second class. It was something else from half guard. And then he looked at me and was like, so you want to go roll now? And I was like, sure. And he goes, cool, get after it. And I went out and just got the dog shit beat out of me. I had no idea what I was doing. And it was that way for a long, long time.
So for you, this is, and you're kind of a big guy. You're physical. You're able to handle yourself. So I think it's a little bit different. But what was that experience like? Was it discouraging? Was it encouraging? How did you take it getting whooped the first, months, years, whatever that was?
The first two roles that I had were with Jashub Sermons and with Jack Meehan, and I still remember them. Because both Shub weighs 140 pounds, soaking wet. Jack weighs maybe 150 or 155.
Oh, that's perfect.
Soaking wet. And both of them kicked the shit out of me. And I was, about as big as I am now. And I remember sitting there and I was like, all of this weightlifting shit has done literally nothing for me.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I've got to figure this out because this ain't gonna work. Isn't like if I can have a 140-pound dude, I mean, and at the time, Shub was just a white belt. Like he hadn't even gotten a blue belt yet, and he was just whooping the shit out of me. And it was so effortless. Like I remember so vividly him hitting a kiss of the dragon and realizing, I was like, how did he get behind me? And then my legs kicked out and I was on my ass and getting strangled. And I was like, I don't even have any idea of what just happened. Like no concept of what just happened. And it wasn't like I was letting it happen. I was like, no, stop, like trying to stand up. And it was just like, it was like fighting against a river. And I was like, we got to learn this.
Isn't that incredible?
The first, then in like a sweet sense of, karma or whatever, the first person I tapped had about 60 pounds on me. I hit him with a guillotine. I still remember that. Yes. I was like, I'm not a complete failure. Thank God.
I wish I could remember what my first submission was. It was something in that first gym that I went to. I can't remember what it was. It's probably like Americana or something very, traditional. But isn't that awesome of how, like, I tell this to people all the time that, one of my buddies at the Falcons game, he's like, so, hey, man, if somebody came up to us, like, would you be able to handle them and all this stuff? And I was like, brother, you don't even understand that I'm playing a game that these people don't even know exists. Not even have seen it before, understand some of the rules and the basics. They have no fundamental concept of what fighting actually is and how it works and the balance and the leverage and the emotions and the energy and all of those things that go into it. I told him, I said, I could take, Alliance has a curriculum, our day 1 and day 2 classes and destroy 98% of the population.
Yeah.
And now think about, I'm on day 267,000.
Yeah.
They have no chance.
It's so funny because you watch a day 1 white belt or like a white belt in their first ever rolls and you're like, what are you doing? Like what, like, and it's like it's really hard to like wrap your head around it, but you think about it and the way humans instinctively react to fighting is everything wrong.
Everything wrong.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to puff up and get big and give them a nice clean target on my chin. And I'm going to, if there's any sort of conflict, I'm going to turn my back. And you're watching a white belt turn their back and you're like, no, not that way. Like you're sitting there like freaking out inside. But
yeah, we talk about all the time in the fundamentals classes that we're spending a lot of time reprogramming your body to not do your natural instincts of flight.
Yeah.
Not usually fight. You think it's fight, it's actually flight. And so how can we reprogram it to always facing your opponent, to creating frames, to shrugging your shoulders to protect your chin and all those types of things, like
managing distance. Like don't bow up and get right up on someone. It's like, hey man, you want to get up on someone, you are standing up, letting them pick you up and dump you on your head without even knowing it.
Yep, that's exactly right. I had so I've probably been, it hasn't happened since blue belt, I had some verbal altercations, but to where people wanted to quote unquote fight me or attack me. And every single time I used the most basic of concepts to beat them. One guy, this is so funny, New Year's Eve, probably, I might have been a blue belt by that time. I'm not sure, but I'm wearing a suit or a tie with like a sweater, and I'm in underground Atlanta. First mistake.
Yeah.
And the crowd was so packed, there were chest to chest.
Yeah.
It was like a concert. If they move, you move. There's no, I'm going to go get some water. You're stuck. And as the crowd was shuffling, I got chest to chest with this girl, right? And her and I both were on the same page of like, let's kind of lean back a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know you. Let's kind of, hey, sorry. I'm sorry. You're sorry.
Yeah.
Being ultra respectful, right? Well, her boyfriend was about 2 people behind and to the right. He was not. He was hammered. And the whole time he's looking at me and talking, and I can hear it, and I'm just like, bro, relax.
Don't do this.
Like, please, like, it's making me uncomfortable because you're making her uncomfortable. I have high respect for women, and I was trying to be as respectful as we could in that scenario, right? And eventually, like, he got irate, and he wanted to fight, and he wanted to, and in all of these circumstances, I spend an hour, like, de-escalating. Please chill, buddy, don't. It's okay. I'm sorry. I'll buy you a drink. Relax. Until I get annoyed. And I reached that point of getting annoyance where I grabbed him by the shirt, I looked him in the face, and I shook him left and right, and he kept falling on the ground. I said, brother, you can't even stand up right now. Why do you think you want to fight? Right? And I shook him one time, and he fell on the ground, and everybody started laughing, and I was just like, and I just walked away. I'm just like, oh, my God, I can't. I just can't.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are very eager to fight. Also, I saw something one time, and it was talking about, it was like men think that fighting is the only thing in the world where with no practice they will instinctually perform at the highest level.
That's so good.
And it's true. It's like every guy like that is. It's always the people that have no idea how to fight that are always the most eager to get into a fight. It's like, oh, well, I just know that, I just see red, bro. And you've probably seen those guys come into the gym where it's like, I just see red. Well, I mean, if it was really go time. And I've only
If it was really go time.
Yeah. It's like, okay, let's classify go time. Like, what is that? Like, is that you getting drunk on New Year's Eve because you're packed and your girlfriend bumps up on someone? Is that go time? Like, what does that look like? And also, have you ever had an adrenaline dump before? Do you know what it's like when another person is trying to strangle you and you're like, oh my God, I could die right now. Like, if this person wanted to kill me, they could kill me. And I've only met one guy that was like that. I was on a date with a girl. It was a first date. We went out. And she was like, oh my God, like one of my really good guy friends is like right around the corner. I'm going to tell him to come over. And like already I was like not super enthused by this for obvious reasons. I'm like, okay, great. Now this guy's going to come over and like look at me like this concerned dad. And I'm like, I don't need your fucking dad energy around me. And he comes over and I was wearing a shirt that I got at Marcello's in New York. And he was like, oh, you do jiu-jitsu? I was like, oh, yeah. Like, I train, like, around the corner. I train at Odyssey. And he was like, oh, that's really cool, man. Like, I could never do jiu-jitsu. I'm like, no, sure, man. Like, it's, I know it's kind of intimidating, but, like, you really could. And he's like, oh, no, like, I really couldn't. I was like, no. And, like, this whole time, I'm thinking he's, like,
I already know what's coming.
Intimidated by jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, dude, you could totally do it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. We have a really good, like, intro program now. Like, whatever. He's like, no, I don't think you understand. If someone,
I'm the Terminator.
He's like, if someone grabbed a hold of me, that'd be game on. And I'm like, oh no, he's one of them. And I'm like sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, I mean, so they might catch me the first time, but the second time, like I'm coming back with a vengeance. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, get me out of this conversation immediately. And he then proceeds to tell me that if someone tapped him, he would, he had never trained Muay Thai. He later clarified, but he would just start elbowing and kicking them, which I also thought was kind of a hilarious insinuation. I'm like, so you're going to use a sport that you've never trained to defend yourself against someone in a sport that they train hours a week? Oh, good luck with that, champ. Yeah. Let me know how that one goes.
You think it's going to go better?
Let me know how that goes.
That's so funny. I think it's funny that see red is the thing. Like, hey, when I really ramp up or when I'm as a very experienced martial artist, that's probably the worst thing that could happen to you is that you get amped up that way and you see red. You actually need to be as calm as humanly possible. So them just saying that lets you know that they're at a major disadvantage and that in the first 45 seconds they're going to be gassed. All the actual physical altercations I've had since I've been in jiu-jitsu have lasted less than a minute and a half, usually with me on mount and them asking to quit. And not from submission. Purely because the average man has never been manhandled in their life and never been in a physical altercation where there was nothing they can do. And when you feel that as a man, like, oh shit, nobody's ever held me this way. Like, I really cannot do, which shows you how safe our society is. Yeah. Everyone talks about how much danger we're in and how dangerous the United States is. Like, no, there's never been a safer time in the history of humanity than right now. And that proves it because your ego is so gigantic that you have no fear.
Yeah.
Martial artists are the safest people in the world, in my opinion, because of fear.
Because you have no idea. Like, blue belts don't want to pick a fight with a black belt in a gym. And you very quickly learn, you're like, oh, wow, there are black belts that I would not know are a black belt. He doesn't have fucking cauliflower ear, he whatever. And it's like, you could bump into someone in the street and pick a fight with him, and joke's on you, he's a second-degree black belt.
Mikey Musumeci.
It's fucking Mikey Musumeci. And then now you're fucked.
Yep.
And now you've just got your knee ripped apart. And, like, have you ever seen that video of the dude that gets his ACL? I think he gets his ACL blown out in a pickup basketball game.
Yes. And he looks at him. He's like, you'll never play basketball again.
And he's like, you don't want to do this. He's like begging the guy to stop.
Which is kind of funny because I don't remember if he took him down. I think they were kind of like wrestling and they fell down. But that dude instantly went to single leg X. And you know what the worst heel hook is? When they still have a shoe on.
Exactly. It's like you're just giving them that entire heel. Like, you're going to get your leg ripped apart.
But shout out to that guy because he was like, brother, like...
He's like, I could do it.
Yeah.
But that's the other side, is that the guy has no fear. He has no concept that through some sort of leg entanglement, he can get his leg dismembered. Like, that doesn't register to him. But anyone that trains is looking at that going, oh my God, you're about to fucking not walk for 3 months.
Can we, while we're talking about this, can we cancel just stand back up culture?
That is the worst type of person to watch a fight with.
We're not. Hey, stop grappling. You guys just swing it out.
It's a fight.
How about you switch places with me and you just swing it out?
It's always guys, and they're the same person. That's like, I don't know why they're so tired. It's only 15 minutes. Okay. I remember so vividly, me and a couple buddies of mine went to go watch the Conor McGregor Cowboy Cerrone fight at PBR. We were walking in, and I looked at Ryan, and I was like, how many fights do you think we're going to see tonight? He was like, oh, yeah. And everyone in there, not everyone, a lot of people in there, drunk, have not trained before, and so they're sitting there, and I can't remember. There was some fight before it, that type of behavior where they're like, just stand him up, what the fuck? And the guy that was before, I can't remember, it was some grappler, and it's like, this is exactly what he wants to do. He has this dude fucking held down on the ground, and now he's going to do whatever the fuck he wants to him and tap him. Like, no, like, this is part of the game. Whatever. And those are the same type of people. It's like, oh, I can't believe he just let him hit him with his shot. It's like, dude, you don't even understand what you're watching. Like, you have no concept of it. I don't fucking understand what I'm watching, and I have a blue belt. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is he doing? Like, I've never seen this shit before. Like,
that's why they say that jiu-jitsu is boring for the average person, because they can't understand the intricacies that goes into it. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
And they watch it and they're bored, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, that guy's mount escape is incredible. Like, his ability to off balance him so he doesn't get punched in the head, control the punches, that is amazing. And they're just like, this is boring. Stand him back up. And jiu-jitsu is very hard.
It's not a spectator.
Looks very weird.
Yeah.
Like, you can't understand. Like, even when I show people closed guard, they're like, why would I ever want to be here? And I'm like, man, that's going to take years.
How long you got?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever watched UFC 1? Let's go back and start.
Yeah, let's go back to Hoist Gracie.
That probably should be everyone's first introduction. Hey, before you make any judgment, you have to watch UFC 1 and watch Hoist Gracie, and then you'll better understand.
I fucking oh, there we go. This thing is so temperamental.
But yeah, the stand-up culture is awful.
There's that whole thing about, I saw this whole butterfly theory about Damian Maia as it relates to Kamaru Usman being the welterweight champ. It's like there was one moment in that Damian Maia-Kamaru fight where Damian Maia was on his back, and then I think Herb Dean or someone stood him up. And he's like, what are we doing here? Like, you have probably the most skilled, if not second most skilled next to Charles Oliveira, jiu-jitsu practitioner in MMA, on this guy's back. Like, what are we talking about?
Yep.
Like, you cannot do this. And then it's like that event, Kamaru winds up winning that fight, I think via decision. He goes on to win, and it's like, what could have been?
Which goes to show you that the UFC is all about money and entertainment.
Yeah.
Is an entertainment
It's
product.
a promoter.
They're not trying to find out who the best fighter is, which also pisses me off when I hear people say, if jiu-jitsu was really the best martial art, then they would be the UFC champions. And I will die on this hill right now. UFC is anti-jiu-jitsu. The gloves don't allow the hands to get in as easy. They can hold your wrist so you can't toe it. The time
you
limit,
can dig your hand into the glove. I mean, you're not allowed to, but I'm sure no one would ever cheat in order to win a few $1 million.
Yep. The ring is a little bit smaller with the walls, which means you can put your back up on the wall and you could stand back up. Also, the short rounds. The number one benefit of jiu-jitsu or element of jiu-jitsu that's important is time.
You can stifle someone and wear them down.
Gracie wears people down and won over the hour and won the fight. In 5 minutes, it's really hard to implement jiu-jitsu from the standing and really get to a finish in 5 minutes. It's almost impossible. So I'll tell people all the time, UFC is anti-jiu-jitsu. It'll be very hard for a pure jiu-jitsu person to ever win in the UFC ever again.
I kind of like the Joe Rogan philosophy. He was like, I don't understand why you get stood back up. It's like, okay, you take someone like Habib or Islam can actually really fucking strike. But you take someone like Habib and it's like, okay, if he gets you down, why do you get saved because the bell goes off? He had you on the ground,
Totally agree.
On your back. No. Sit your ass back down. He's on your back. Get up.
The fight's over. Yeah.
You have to get up. Like, you're not just going to be granted, because like you see so many of these, it's like you can steal a round or whatever with a takedown at the end of the round. It shouldn't be stealing the round. It should be you got them down now at the beginning of the next round. Okay, same way you have to do it in Odyssey Invitational. People roll off the mat. You have to say, stop, freeze, look at where they're at. Okay, he had that hook there. Okay, he had grip here. Okay, cool. Sit back down, and we're going to start from there. And now you have to get up. Because, again, if you want it to be just about who is the best well-rounded fighter, the most complete fighter, you should be able to get back up.
I totally agree. And you should be able to, fight off or keep your dominant position. That takes so long to get there, and so much work and so many setups and so many angles just to get that one position. And then there's 38 seconds left, and the guy just shells up, protects his head, and then you can't get the finish, and you can't.
I was going to say, and you don't have time to actually start a back attack. It's like, okay, cool, I've got to your back, but it's really hard to finish someone on a compressed time limit.
Get a hold of
it. And, yeah.
2 hands on your glove, and you're stuck.
I don't know. It's beautiful to watch when you at least have somewhat of an idea of what's going on with it. But I get to one of the guys that I work out with sometimes will send me like jiu-jitsu clips, and he's like, if jiu-jitsu isn't gay, explain this. And it's just like reverse close guard or just some weird looking shit. And I'm like, I have no defense for this. Like, I cannot defend this. I'm sorry. It does look rather suspect.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, exactly.
Try to make it as gay as possible.
Brady was in here, and all he was talking about was touching toes and having toes in face. I was like, all right, man, relax.
Oh, no, for sure. The day I met Brady, I was like, we can't spend too much time together, because him and I both are ridiculous. We roll, I'm like, I don't think we accomplish anything, because we're just making jokes the entire time. Or if we're rolling close to each other, I have to be saying stuff to him while we're fighting. I think that's hilarious. And then your partner's like, he's not even paying attention to our fight, and he's winning. And you're just laughing. I'm like, sorry, dude.
It is the most humiliating thing ever when you're sitting there and you know the person is just letting you work and you still can't make something happen.
Yeah.
There's a guy at Odyssey named Jim who's a black belt, and he's like I think he's like in his late 60s. I'll roll with Jim all the time, and he will be so clearly clowning around saying the most horrific shit to me, and I'm doing everything that I can to advance, and it's like I'll start to make some sort of progress, and then he'll do some ridiculous wrist lock, and I'm like, why do I do this sport?
Why do I even try?
And he'll sit there, and the whole time he's just saying the most ridiculous shit. He's like, yeah, Daddy likes that. He's like, yeah, work harder for me. I'm like, Jim, please stop. Please stop. This is so emasculating.
We got a guy like that named Mike Bixon who does the same thing. Yeah. We'll be in some kind of position, and he'll pass my guard or something, and then he'll be in side control, and he goes, and this is when we hug. And I'm like, no. And you can't stop it. There's nothing you can do.
It's so weird, too, going back to the people when they're I want to talk to you more about this. When people are first starting, one of the things that I've kind of noticed is, like, you have to get comfortable with people, like you said, like, kind of manhandling you.
Yep.
Which is a really weird thing when you're so accustomed to it. Like, DK, Latrell, myself, and I think Boss went to, like, an Ethiopian spot, and it's like you're all just eating with like I forget the name of the bread, it's like the sponge bread. And it was like we were sitting there, and I was kind of like hesitant about dipping the bread in the thing, and Latrell looked at me and was like, we were all sweating on each other an hour ago, just eat it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then you'll see like a white belt come in, and you'll be like trying to demonstrate, like, okay, well, in this situation, you need to do that. And they're like getting tense, and you're like, what are you getting all fucking weird for? And then you realize you're like, oh yeah, most people do not have like hundreds of hours of other people like literally grabbing them.
No, right.
Grabbing them, manipulating their body. Like,
Take it deeper than that. They don't even have people touching them on a regular basis because we're so separated in society. Their mothers don't hug them anymore. Their dads don't. They have broken relationships. They're not close to their friends anymore. I'm the type of person, I love with jiu-jitsu people. My favorite thing about jiu-jitsu people, and I tell people this all the time, I'm a hugger.
yeah.
When I first meet you, I'm like, yo, what's up? I pull you, and people are kind of caught off guard by that. They're like, hey, and I'm like, sorry, it's just a jiu-jitsu thing. I think jiu-jitsu people are physically just closer people, unless they go to take a picture. And I say this all the time when we're lining up. I think it's hilarious, especially Brazilian instructors. They're very particular about their pictures.
Really?
They're like, no, black gis in the front. You guys line up, move up. You should be smiling. Blue gi, like they're very, which I love and I respect. They want it to be very clean and look really good. Funny. But I always tell the guys, I'm like, hey guys, act like we like each other. Move in. We just were rolling. You don't have to be so separated, right?
We don't really have a ton of Brazilian dudes at Odyssey, so I don't know.
Yeah, you guys are American jiu-jitsu.
America.
I'm just kidding.
New York jiu-jitsu.
But it's funny, you brought up beginner people. Part of the reason why I like the Alliance curriculum is something I've been talking to Odyssey about is we kind of slow roll people into that. So we do an intro lesson, and I think with a private instructor, that kind of helps them be more comfortable and things like that. And we don't let people roll for the first 60 classes. Okay. So we let them do the warm-ups. We let them drill. And so we'll do like 3 techniques, 5 techniques, something like that. They'll practice that with a partner, and then they do the sequence. It's like takedown to mount to submission, and they do that over and over again. Sorry about that. Over and over and over again until they get more comfortable. And part of the reason is, A, we want them to get more comfortable with physical contact. We want them to feel the social environment. We also want to prepare their bodies for falling on the ground a lot and having to get back up. Most of the people are coming straight off the couch, right? Mm-hmm. Like most of the people, there's a clear difference to me when I talk to people in jiu-jitsu of people who've worked with thousands and thousands of people from the public and people who've only trained with athletes and things like that in the gym, right? Because there's an old school mentality of like, just throw them in the shark tank and they should roll every day. And man, that's when I came up, I got my arm broken. I came back the next, and I'm like, brother, you have never worked with these beginner people. That is a science teacher that's 36 years old. She's never played a sport in her life. She's coming in to try something new with her family. Her daughter also trains, and she just wants something that she can do with her kid. And you want me to just throw her to the sharks and see if she's got it? And, well, if I didn't get to roll for my first 60 days, I would have quit. Then this is not the right gym for you, brother. You can go down to the UFC gym down the street, and you guys can fight it out. And you will get there, but trust me, we are doing this for a reason, and we are protecting you from things that you don't know about right now, because you're going to get hurt in your first 2 weeks because when you went for the hip throw, you stepped outside, you tore your ACL, and now I don't see you for 18 months, and you give up on jiu-jitsu, and I never see that again.
I tore my labrum within 90 days of starting jiu-jitsu in Auburn.
Yep.
Because it was literally, I will say, when I started at Odyssey, our beginner program was not nearly as developed as it is now. And literally, second day, Lenny was like, you want to get in there? Get your ass in there. But also, like, I had been working out a bunch. I played baseball till I was 20. Like, there was that side of me where I was like, I want to do this shit. Like, I want to jump into it. Thinking about it in that perspective of people that actually, the first person that came in after me, there was probably like a 4 or 5 month lull where I was the only new guy. And so I was just a fucking nail for like 4 or 5 months at Odyssey. I remember vividly when the next guy came in, I looked at him and I was like, I'm going to fuck that guy up. Like, that was the first thought out of my mind. He walked through the door, and I remember looking at him. I was like, oh, I'm going to fuck that guy up.
Fresh meat.
And that's what happened. But no, he literally wound up quitting. Like, I didn't hurt him, but he got into it, and he wound up quitting. But when I started in Auburn, it was like 2-3 months in, and I got caught in an inverted triangle. The dude caught it wrong. I didn't know that I was in trouble. He squeezed, and I felt my shoulder go. And I'd already torn my other labrum playing baseball. So as soon as it went, I was like, oh, I just tore my labrum. And I like went and sat down. He's like, oh, no, like you can roll the next round. And I was like, oh, no, man, you tore my labrum. He's like, oh, no, like I'm sure you're good. I was like, no, I'm not kidding. Like I tore this one a few years ago. You just tore my labrum.
No, like,
and he was like,
I'm out for real.
Oh my God. And I literally like went and had to go get surgery and like whatever. And then I didn't do anything jiu-jitsu related. I think that was probably in 2018 or 2019. And I didn't, no, probably 2018. Yeah, 2018, and I got surgery, and then 2020 I got back into it.
What brought you back? Like, what you didn't have fear of, like, oh God, I can't go through another expensive surgery again, and I need to take care of my career. Like,
what brought me back? Being depressed as fuck.
Yeah,
I had dropped out of college in 2020. I had started working as a real estate agent. I was dating this girl. We were long distance. She was in Auburn. I was in Atlanta. All I was doing was working out. I felt pretty alone. all I had done. I had trained Muay Thai when I was in high school, and I went to ATT off Cheshire Bridge, and I took an intro class to Muay Thai, and I really liked it. And I was like, sweet. And they had a COVID outbreak. The next day, I went back to sign up, and they were like, oh, we're shut down for like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep.
And I was going through it. And I was like, lifting was just not doing it for me anymore. And I was like, I need something different. Like, I've got to have something different. And so I went home turned around, went back home, and I got on the internet, and I started like searching up like Muay Thai classes near me. At that, like, I was habitually watching UFC. Like, me and all my buddies in college watched it. And I just started looking at different gyms in the area, and Odyssey had a Muay Thai class. And I clicked on the page, and I saw a picture of Lenny sitting next to Danaher, and I saw a picture of Greg sitting next to Marcelo. And I was like, fuck Muay Thai. I'm going to learn how to grapple from those guys.
Yeah.
And I went the next day and signed up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you didn't let it discourage you. Most people get discouraged.
I'm really stubborn.
No, me too.
For better or for worse.
Me too.
There are great sides of it, and there are really bad sides of it. But
Yeah.
it's like, you were saying the whole like authority thing. We were talking at this class, and it was really interesting. It was a big gap. So like, I was on the younger side. There was a couple guys. There was like a guy and a girl that were in their early 20s, and then there was guys that were in like their 50s and 60s. And so it was like talking to like parents or whatever. And I was like, they were talking about like their kids and everything. And I was like, even if my dad would come to me with an idea that I thought was a good idea, because it was his idea and he was telling me you should do this, I was like, well, now I don't want to do it anymore. Now I'll just dig my fucking heels in and be like, no.
That's so funny.
I don't do well with authority.
That's so funny.
Shout out to Christian school.
I'm the exact same way. And what's funny is, I'm not going to say who, but other instructors that I talk to, when your girlfriend trains jiu-jitsu, she never wants to listen to you on advice. Like, hey, maybe you should sit this out, and here's what you should do. And I've been here before, and maybe you should try this. No. They want to fight it. And then 8 months later, they'll come back to you, and they'll be like, hey, Professor Leo told me this, and this is what I could do. And I'm so excited. And I think it'll work for me. And I'm just like, I told you that 6 months ago, but you don't want to listen to me. So now I'm like, subliminally, I'll send Leo a text. I'm like, hey, can you tell her that maybe she should I got you. Or I saw this on Instagram. I'm like, oh, did you?
Weird.
I tried to tell you that 8 months ago.
I've heard that exact same thing about parenting. I forget who I was listening to, but they were like, that's why it's kind of important. They were talking about like the progression of children and whatnot. And they were like about 13, 14, like if you look back like evolutionarily, is like basically when it was like, look, you know, we were living in tribes, and it was typically bad to just have a bunch of people grow up in the same tribe, stay in the same tribe. That's incestuous. So it'd be like 13, 14, okay, it's time for you to get out. So that's when, like, at least for young men, they start being like, fuck it, whatever. Like, I don't want to listen to that. Like, I don't want to listen to any sort of authority. So it's like, it doesn't even have to come from you. It's like, if you're the dad and you've got a friend, like one of their friends' dads, you can just be like, hey, put this in their ear. But just because they don't hear it from you, now it's a great idea.
I know. We talk about how you're just too close to the source.
Yeah.
And that may happen to me too. You know, that may happen to all of us, and you don't even realize it. It's so wild how that happens, right? And it's usually the people that care about you the most, that want nothing but the best from you. The other person really doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't even listen to those people, which I think is a wild Western. It might be a Western society problem. You know, I've thought about this a lot of times.
I think it is.
About how our society is built to separate us from each other, which I think is a travesty. And, you know, I've told my family, I look at Eastern cultures, and I'm like, why are we working towards the same goal separately? Mm-hmm. 5 rents, 5 cars, 5 life insurances, 5. We're all splitting everything, and we're all 5% going when we could come together and be 50% and already be there.
Listening to people, what you were saying, it is 100% a Western thing. This whole Western idea of like, when you turn 18, I'm kicking you out of the house. It's like good for you. I think to this day, the best thing that my parents have done, I didn't go to college when I was 18. I stayed at home for a year because baseball was kind of not working out.
Me too.
And so I stayed at home from when I was 18 to 19, and I think I would be in a much different place if they were like, no, you can't stay here. They were very much like, yeah, you're like my dad. I like took him the idea. I was like, this is where I'm at. These are the places that I'm talking to. This is like, I know this guy that went through this same kind of process. He wound up at Boston College. I want to try and do the same thing. Can I do this and stay at home? And he's like, yes, of course. Like, of course you can stay here. And it's like, it just perpetuates this indebtedness in society because, let's be honest, if you're 18, you have no real earning power. What your options are: go work a relatively low income job where you're going to be check to check. You have no ability to build any sort of wealth. Like, you're just simply existing, subsisting. Like, it's okay. If I can break even this month, I'm happy. Or you go into some varying degree of debt to go get a degree. Or if you were, an overachiever, however you want to define that, you can get a scholarship and go to college and get in less debt, or, some people get paid to go to college.
Yep.
But it's like, you'd be far better off pooling your resources and saying, look, we are all trying to go through life together. We will try and take care of our own, instead of like, you need to go learn how to be a man and go be fucking broke. And it's like that. I mean, like, yeah, knowing what it's like to not have money is probably like a good experience overall, so you don't take it for granted. But like, is throwing your kid to the wolves, like you were saying in jiu-jitsu, the best way to handle that? Probably not.
Yeah, I started thinking about it as you were talking about that, if maybe it's designed because I think people need to go through trials and tribulations, and I think we learn all of our lessons the hard way. So not saying it's the better or right path, but maybe sometimes it's necessary depending on the person. Like, I learn better from my own mistakes, and you're like, okay, I'm never going to touch that again because it is hot, right?
Yeah.
Even though your parents told you 1,500 times, right? I tell people all the time, like, I've become my dad.
Yeah.
I say the same things, and my mom is like, yeah, your girlfriend's like me, and you're like your dad. I'm like, I know.
You're
I
like,
say
don't
the same
say that.
It's incredible. But then when I think about it, like, imagine if you had a family where my mom owns a business. Right now she does T-shirts. She makes apparel, right? And I do the marketing for her business. And then my aunt does the printing for the business. And my brother is a lawyer, for example, who watches over all of our businesses and does all the law stuff. And then we have a dentist, and then we have this, and then we have that. And we just keep the money in our circle, and we're working towards the same goals, right? Or like one of my goals is to buy a compound and have 5 houses on it, and all my family lives there.
Okay.
And we just have our separate houses, our separate area, but we're all in the same area. We control, not only because like I want to be closer to my family and financially, but also I want my family to raise my kids. I don't want society and these other educators and the TV and these streamers to raise my kids. I want my family to do that. And the way I do that is by keeping them close.
I went through and listened to this long ass book on Stalin. It was called Stalin the Tsar of the Red Court, or Stalin the Red Court, or something like that. And one of the things that they emphasized, basically they went through and they got access to all the old Soviet archives. And so this book is written from letters inside the fucking Soviet high command. They were not big on parents at home having input on what their kids, were taking in. It was like, yeah, let's get the parents out of the picture, because the parents could be putting these ideas of like, well, maybe we shouldn't, sacrifice our parents for the greater good. It's like, let's have them in our Soviet-approved schools learning our Soviet-approved curriculum, so that way they're a lot more sympathetic to what us, the people in charge, are saying. And that's how you wind up with Holodomor and all of the purges and the millions and millions and millions of people that got killed because of, oh, well, I better report on them, because if I don't report on them, then they might report on me. Like, have you ever heard about what happened when they opened the Stasi files?
No.
When the USSR collapsed, the Berlin Wall came down, the Stasi were the secret police in whatever, East Germany. And they went through similar situation, and they found that oftentimes the people that were reporting on each other were family members, because the family unit had been so fractured and so broken apart that it was the level of desperation these people had to not get reported to the authorities and detained and killed was like, well, shit, I'll just say that my aunt's a spy for the West, so that way they don't think I'm a spy for the West. It's like, in order to get to, like, that doesn't happen overnight. There has to be a degradation over time, because if you come to me right now and you're like, okay, say that your mom is a fucking communist spy, I'm gonna be like, that's an insane thing to say. I know my mom. I know she's not. But if that's embedded into the culture, now all of a sudden that's not as far of a leap as it is. It's fucking freaky.
Yeah, and that is wild, actually.
That's a fun conversation topic.
Which is funny, too, because if you look at statistics, it's wild that your biggest haters online, when we talk about self-defense and we talk about domestic violence and murder and all of those things, it's the people closest to you. Mm-hmm. It's not a random stranger.
Kidnappings, murders, all that shit.
My biggest supporters are people that I've never met before.
Really?
Online. Biggest supporters. Never met them online. We're in the same community, but they have the same mindset and they're pumping you up. Hey man, keep it up. I know what it's like. I've been there. Right. And a lot of times, like even with my business, still to this day, a lot of my family and friends can't understand what I do or how I do it. My dad is still, I had a conversation with him the other day and he's like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. I just want to check in and like, is your business doing good? I haven't heard anything. I'm really concerned and I'm worried. And meanwhile, like I'm driving a Tesla in a $600,000 house and I'm like, wait, why are you concerned?
Exactly. Life's good.
And he's like, well, I just don't know. Like, are you making money or how's it? He thinks it's some scheme or some online thing that's going to go away because for him, growing up in the society he grew in, he's like, wait, you're not selling a physical product and you've never met these people in person and they just pay you $5 to $10,000 a month and he can't understand that concept because he doesn't live in the world I live in. Meanwhile, the people online that I'm interacting with, the other entrepreneurs, the other agency owners, they've lived my life. So they're like, oh man, keep it up. That's incredible. You're doing great, blah, 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 blah. And they can understand, right? So sometimes with my business, I try not to even have the conversation because they'll never understand it because they're not in it.
It's funny. I think this is my pet theory. One of the reasons I've had so much support from my dad is because his dad was the exact same way. My dad, I describe him, he was a bank mercenary for a long time. Basically, the Georgia Department of Banking would say, this bank is in trouble, go turn it around. So he would go into the bank and he'd be there for like 18 to 24 to 36 months and he would take them from a really fucked up situation, get the bank turned around, and then he would get basically not reassigned because he wasn't working for the Department of Banking, but they were giving him jobs. My grandpa, I'd never met him. He died from lung cancer before I was born.
Sorry to hear that.
Happens when you start smoking at 9 in the Great Depression. Turns out not great for you. My grandpa thought my dad could never keep a steady job. He was like, you switch jobs every 2 to 3 years, you keep getting fired. And like he had no ability to comprehend that my dad was like, no, I'm really good at what I do, but what I do is not work for the same credit union for 40 years. It's I go into a bad situation, I turn it around, I get it better, and then I go to the next one. In my dad's mind, it was like, this is the most natural thing in the world. What are you talking about? Like, I'm really good at what I do. But to my grandpa, it's like, oh my God, you must be horrible at what you do. You keep getting fired every 2 to 3 years. And so it's like now, at least with what I do, my dad's like, yeah, fuck yeah, do it.
It's so funny you say that too, because I just thought about while you were talking about that I'm the only person in my friends and family that I actually know in person that does what I do. That makes all my money online and makes content. There is no other person in my family that can even relate to anything I'm doing. I'm the only one who does it.
And so you are the black sheep.
They support it and they're excited about it and they're always happy and all of that, but they can't relate because they can't understand.
Yeah, there's no understanding of like, oh yeah, if you're used to working a job as an employee and it's you show up to the office and you do the job that's assigned to you and then you go home and then you have like work-life balance. You show up and it's like, why are you doing all this? Why are you working at 7 o'clock on a Friday night? Why are you always on your phone? Why are you making these videos? And you're like, to you, it is the most natural thing in the world. You're like, well, if I don't make the videos, the prospective clients don't find out that I exist and I have to keep going out and finding new business and I have to keep growing it. But to them, it's like, this doesn't make any sense, but I hope it goes well for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that it's not only on the positive end can they not understand, but they also can't understand on the negative end of like, again, like I said, they think it's too easy. And I'm like, you don't realize that if I don't go get the money every single month, the bills don't get paid. There's no business behind me. There's no loan the business took out. They can't put it on credit card. They don't have I don't have $30 million in savings. My business is completely bootstrapped and lives month to month.
Yeah.
If we don't survive this month, if all of a sudden I get 12 cancellations, my entire business is in trouble, including the 12 people that I've hired.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure. All day, every day. It's not just me.
And like what you said, it's the money comes into your account, but it's not really your money yet because you've got to make sure that the 12 employees get fed because they've trusted you that you're going to be good on the promise of, hey, I'll pay you X number of thousands of dollars a month in exchange for my work. You can't just turn around and be like, sorry about that, fellas. I know y'all have mortgages and families and wives and husbands and loved ones you take care of, but yeah, I was really irresponsible this month. There's no money. Hope the bank doesn't take your home.
That's probably been the hardest part about owning my own business is having those tough conversations. But luckily, I just saw a video from Dave Ramsey that talked about how his HR manual is written on God's word, where basically he's like, hey, we treat people how we would want to be treated. You treat them as if they were your children. And I've always done that same thing. So, for example, during COVID, when COVID happened and our business shut down for 3 to 4 months, I paid my employees, but I didn't take money because I just knew that I knew them as people. They were in a worse situation than me. This is all they had. It was going to be harder for them to find another job, get another business. I know the type of person I am. I'm going to be successful no matter what. I'd go find another job right now.
Yeah.
Right. But I knew they weren't that way. So I was like, man, they've been loyal to me. We haven't met the goals that we thought we were going to meet. And the last thing I want to do is put them in a bad situation. So I'll continue to pay them while I figure it out and struggle. And so, I had to do that. And then eventually you do have to have some of those tough conversations, and it is awful, especially too, because I'm a very people, friendly person. And like one of the things that I've noticed that is tough for me as a person is I grow close to people very quickly. So we can have one conversation, we hit it off, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then later on you try to talk to them and they're kind of shady and you're like, oh, I thought we were boys. Yeah. Or like, how you make a joke to somebody and they don't take it well. And you're like, oh, I thought we were closer than that. My fault. Like I overstepped. I liked you more than you liked me. Yeah. I do that a lot because I just think I have this natural connection. Right. So with my employees, I treat them like family. I think of them as like family. And so trying to tell my brother, my sister, my cousin, like, hey, bro, like this ain't working out is probably what I'm the worst at and something I'm still struggling with. Luckily, I have an operations manager. So I think one of the things you can do if you're owning a business is find a partner who's good at the things you don't like doing and good at things you're not good at doing. I'm really good on the front end, on sales, building the dream, the big picture, all of that. I'm not great at operations.
You too?
I can do it, but I don't like to do it. Yeah. And the guy that I partner with loves building training manuals and SOPs and hiring documents. He's like, hey, when we do it, we got to ask them this questionnaire. And I'm like, sure, dude. Like, whatever you think we should ask him. Like, for me, I'm like, hey, man, are you good? Are you smart? Show me something. All right, cool, you're in.
Cool, that works. Let's go. We got some shit to do.
And then I got to fire them 3 weeks later because they're not.
Yeah, because they're not like a good fit. And you're like, shit, I probably could have done it better.
Yeah, so partnerships in business is really tough because you got to find the right person, especially when you commit that signature to a 50%. But I think if you focus on someone who does something that you're not good at, you're going to be better off for sure.
It has to be complementary.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
It seems like whenever I'll look at some people's the guys that I work with a lot right now for my video stuff, they are such polar opposites. One of them is you, like the creative, like he's worried about like the big picture and okay, well, we can go here and we can do this, that, and the other. And then I look at Deepak. Deepak is the opposite. Deepak is like, that's great. What are our operations procedures? How are we going to grow the bit? Like he's the one that's handling all the money. And it's like, it is not like a 1 + 1 = 2 thing. It's like a 1 + 1 = 4 because it's like Deepak on his own, Jamie on there, and I could be completely speaking out of my ass. Don't take this the wrong way, guys, at all. But it's like on their own, yeah, they're good. They're both very good at what they do. But if they didn't have the partnership, no chance.
That's awesome, and that's the same thing that a lot of businesses. I've been on both sides of operations and sales. And I will tell you that both sides get frustrated with each other because operations is like, why are you selling shit we can't execute? We can't do that, boss. We can't do that. Why is he saying that? That's not possible. How are we, right? But the sales guy on the other end has to get the money. So one thing you learn in sales is it's never a no. It's let me go check and see what we can do. Right? I tell people all the time, I don't know if I can do that, but here's what I can do. Right? And a lot of times what the operations people don't understand is, first of all, without sales, there is no business.
Yes.
I don't care about how many papers you push and how many buttons you click. If I don't sell, there is no business.
And you could be the best business in the world.
That's right.
But if no one knows that you're the best business in the world,
that's right.
You're fucking broke.
And if they don't pay you, and sometimes you're not in the meetings that I'm in that is like, hey, we're negative 12.5%. We need to sell 30 grand this month, period. Yeah. So I have to sell the dream, bro. And guess what? If I sell the dream for 30 grand and we survive 90 days and that guy's canceled because we didn't deliver, we survived 90 days. And that is just part of the business, right? And so a lot of times the sales guys are like, the operations people are just walls. They're blocking me from my sales. No, well, we can't do that. And we can't do this. And it's like, just get out of my way. Stop blocking the money. We got to figure it out, right?
You got to have money coming in.
But then I also understand the operations. It's like, yeah, but you're breaking the processes and we can't execute that. Now my people are stressed out. And now the customer's yelling at me because we can't. So you got to find that comfortable balance between those two of like what you can do and what you can't do. And I think that's a funny little interaction between sales and operations because they don't understand each other.
Have you ever heard of like personalysis or any of those types of things?
No, tell me.
There's a type of test that you can take, and this isn't like Myers-Briggs, like MBTI type of thing. But I took this thing and it was called personalysis, and it basically shows you like who you are. And I took it because of my dad. My dad was like, "This is what I do with anyone that I'm going to hire." It's like I have to see who you are. Basically, it's 3 separate levels. It's like on your conscious level, like basically when me and you were sitting here having this conversation, how does my brain work? How do I operate? Okay, there's the unconscious, which is like the driver underneath all of that kind of like informs the conscious thoughts, the conscious ways that I behave. And then underneath that, I forget the exact term. The lady described it to me as your reptilian brain. It is like your absolute core base needs that were pretty much decided before you were 4 or 5 years old. Just like your hardwiring and the experiences you had as a small child, like that's never going to change.
If you stripped it all away, this is what you would do.
But that's who you are in any sort of like stressful environment. Like when everything goes to shit and we have to sell 30 grand this month or else the business goes broke, that's who you are. And he's like, I will put anyone that I hire through one of these personalysis tests because it's like, I need to know who I'm hiring. Like, I need to know how you're going to handle when all shit hits the fan and we've got to make something happen. Like, I need to know who I'm hiring. Also, that's who you are whenever you wind up in a long-term relationship or a marriage. What's
awesome about those tests is I think it helps you identify why you react and interact a certain way. Like, I think sometimes you don't realize that it's actually basically like a systematic process or something that's programmed into you. It's like, oh no, that's the core person that I am. It's not just something that I randomly did on a random Saturday. So I did some of those tests. I found out that I work good as a team. I work well with groups of people. I don't like being isolated. I work in groups. I'm a natural leader for people. And then I also found out, and this also happened with one of my old mentors. He told me I'm also a person who likes to always be doing new things. So I start something, I build up a project. Once it gets to 80%, I'm done with it.
Same.
And I'm like, okay, I mastered it. I'm good. Which brings me to, and it's the reason why I'm good at a job for 2 to 3 years. And then I'm kind of like, if I'm doing the same thing I've done for the past 6 weeks in a row, and it's just like, hey, like in my automotive business when I worked, which we didn't really get into how I started my business, but when I was a consultant, every 30 days was the same. Mm-hmm. Brand new month, okay, go out and sell, send him the reports. Month 15, check on, see how it's going, relaunch the new ads. Month 30, collect his check, send him his report, rinse and repeat over and over again. And I'm just like, I can't do this same cycle over and over again. And then I start to fall off and get lazy and shorthanded, and I don't have the passion and enthusiasm. And I'm like, hey, I got to switch roles.
And you can feel yourself getting worse.
Yeah.
You can feel the quality that you're providing getting worse. At least that's how I am. Like real estate agent side of stuff, I would sit there and I was like, I'm not as good as I was at this a year ago. Like, I understand it on a better level, but like I'm looking at the product that these people are getting and I'm like, I'm not as good as I was. It's weird.
And it's the reason why I never got really good at baseball. My number one challenge in my life is overcoming that I'm a natural B at everything.
Okay.
I'm just automatically really good at most things I ever do.
Okay.
But only as far as my personal motivation will take me. So when I played baseball, I was the catcher, and my coach used to always be like, hey, I don't need to worry about Rick. He's got it. I'm going to go coach these other kids. Rick's reliable. He shows up. He knows how to practice. He knows how to do his thing. But I could never get over that hump because I didn't have that drive and that push of like, bro, you could do better. Hit more in the cage, blah, 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 because they're always worried about the other kids. Mm-hmm. Right? When I started working my jobs, I caught on. I learned really fast to where I didn't get the extra training, the extra support. They're like, Rick's the A player. We'll leave him in his thing and we'll go coach and teach and motivate these other people. Well, nobody ever stopped to motivate me. And so I could never personally get over the hump of being a B because I didn't have the internal motivation to do that. And I'm like, well, I'm already better than everybody else, so I can just stay an 8 and I could never reach a 10. The one thing that changed that was jiu-jitsu. And the reason why is I've been a professional poker player. I've been a professional Halo player. I've done all these great things, but I got bored. And I was just like, but what else is there? Do I have to be that much better? I'm already better than most of the people. Like, how good do I have to be? And I've already mastered. I went to, when I went to Art Institute of Atlanta, one of the classes, I wanted to make video games in my graphic design.
Okay.
And I studied game theory, right? And what I noticed, I started playing video games when I was 2 years old. I'm a very systematic person that can look at a problem, figure out how to solve it in the fastest, easiest way. That's why I'm good at video games. I'm like, hey, if you just go and hit B 13 times in a row, you're going to kill that guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's all these other button combinations. I'm like, yeah, but the secret is his foot, he's too high, blah, 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 right? I learned how to solve those puzzles very quickly. Same thing with poker. I learned how to like, hold on, I can master this game. I don't need to know all those rules. If I just know how this works, I can manipulate that, right? Jiu-Jitsu, I couldn't do that. Jiu-Jitsu is the one thing that still to this day, I'm a black belt. I think I'm a pretty high level guy for, a hobbyist instructor, and I cannot master it. Every day I'm just like, oh my God, I just got destroyed. Got to come back the next day. Got to come back the next day. And that's the thing that keeps me coming back is I can't even get close to mastering it. I've seen I think I'm pretty good, and then a guy destroys me, and a guy destroys him, and then a guy destroys him, and a guy destroys him. I watch my instructor. I'm like, nobody can touch Leo. He'll kill everyone. I watch him lose a match, and I'm like, what? He just lost? Like, and then I see that guy lose, and then I see that guy fight Gordon Ryan, and Gordon Ryan treats him like a baby. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so many levels to this. And so that's one of the most beautiful parts about jiu-jitsu that keeps me coming back is the puzzle that I can't solve. I need puzzles I can't solve. I think it's the same thing that happens in relationships. That's why women get bored so easy. You made it too easy for them. They got your love. They solved you, and they're like, he's not a challenge. I need a hard boy. I need somebody who's a little more difficult.
Do you feel like you're the same way in a relationship?
No. I actually like peace in my home. So for me personally, I like to get to the level where we're very comfortable. I don't need a challenge. I don't want a challenge when I get home. Most of my life is challenge. And so when I get home, I actually want peace, love, and happiness. Easy, casual, consistent, reliable. I know what I'm walking into, and I don't want that disruption because, and this is something that my new girlfriends had to kind of work on, is when, I'm on sales calls all day, I have to be the center of attention. I have to have high energy. I have to talk to them. I have to get them excited. And then I go to jiu-jitsu, and I'm the instructor, and 40 people are asking me questions. I'd be like, I got to put on this presentation, and it's who I am naturally, but it's still a presentation, right?
Yeah.
And then I get home, and right when I get in the door, I'm like,
yeah,
okay, can I turn it off now? But they want that Rick.
Interesting.
And they're like, oh, why aren't you talking? And why are you so quiet? And what happened today? And blah, blah, blah. And you're not this and you're not that. And I'm like, no, it's not that. It's just I want to be able to live how I want to live and not worried about somebody watching me and thinking like, what's wrong with him? Why is he like that? I just want to live in my own skin and not have to put on this presentation 24 hours a day. And so as she's been around me long enough, she started to see like, oh, you're like that in the gym and we're around other people because that's the person you have to carry yourself as. And when you get home, you kind of want to turn that off for a little while. And I was like, yes, it's nothing about you. It's about me and me having to have that opportunity to turn it off and like just kind of relax and have a beer and not be so, you know what I mean? Because I think like a lot of people that when outside of all of those environments that I'm antisocial. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, it's just I've been social for 12 hours today. And I need 2 hours to just...
I have never related to something more in my life. Do you consider yourself more of an introvert or an extrovert?
I think it depends on the environment.
Okay.
I think I'm an extrovert when I'm outside. I'm an introvert when I'm inside. Like my own home. In my own home, I become an introvert. But actually, I think I'm an extrovert who just likes his own personal time. I think that's a better way to describe it.
Okay.
I don't understand relationships or people who have to be obsessed with each other 24 hours a day, all day, every day. I actually like time on Sunday when my girl's not around, people's not around. I'm just watching football, doing my own thing. Mm-hmm. I have no one else to live for but myself. Or I need time where I just want to play Xbox and just chill by myself and go in my own zone and just live that life. And as long as I have that time, then I'm good. But I think naturally I'm an extrovert for sure. I'm the type of person who likes to bring people together. So I'm always like going out of my way. If you ever go anywhere with me, I'm always interacting with people and talking to people. And they're like, why are you talking to them? I'm like, this is just what I do. I talk to people. So I think I'm a natural extrovert. But I'd like to have my own personal time too.
I didn't realize you were a professional Halo player and also a professional poker player.
Yeah, I did that for a long time, but I gave up on them because I got bored. Actually, the reason why I gave up on Halo, and this is a sad story that I think a lot of society needs to hear is I listen to everyone else. When I was coming up, I started playing Halo 1 early in college. I played video games my whole life. My dad took me to tournaments and for NBA Jam and a game called Duke Nukem and Blockbuster. I got third place in the nation, and we were like, oh, like I'm actually kind of, because you only play at your home, right? And so we went, they had Blockbuster tournaments. Did you even know about Blockbuster?
I think Blockbuster went bust when I was in like middle school.
So you would go rent games?
I remember the early days of Blockbuster. Like I remember I would go rent like a Tony Hawk skateboarding game or something.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude, Tony Hawk was fire.
Yeah.
So we would go there, and then they would have tournaments. And what they did is they set up a console, and you would go in there and try to get your high score. And then I don't know how they did it. I don't even know if we had the internet then, but they would compare the scores for your state, your region, and then they would have championships and all of that.
Okay.
And I was really good at NBA Jam. And so I ended up getting like third place, which was cool when you're like 12 years old, right? And so then I played video games a lot, but not like competitively. There wasn't any, because there was no internet.
Yeah.
Well, Halo 1 came out, and my buddy introduced me to it, and we used to play it in the dorms.
Yeah.
And so we were like, hey, you can play like split screen or whatever and connect the wires. And then I started getting really competitive, because then, like, I'm a person in my whole life, I always talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So now I could sit next to the person and talk shit and be like, you are trash. And you could beat them on the game. And it was just
Okay.
awesome, right? And plus, like, it was when I was starting to get out of baseball. I played baseball, wrestling, football my entire life. So I'm used to being ultra competitive.
Yeah.
And dude, you probably reach this point too, 18, 19, 20, where you don't have a competitive outlet. And you're like, I got this burning itch to just.
I know where mine went, and it was not good.
me either.
Yeah.
Me either. So then I started playing video games, and then the internet came out. Halo or Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Well, with Halo 2, they had ranks, and then you would play ranked. So then you started playing, as you got better, playing the best players in the world.
Yeah, it's like a natural like reclassification, and now it's like, okay, well, if you're in the top 100, you're only going to play against other people in the top 100. And all
That's
that
right. And as I started to rank up, and even in my own friend group, I was better than them, and I was carrying them. And then we got on the forums, and we talk, and we make bigger teams, and then we move up, and you keep moving up, and we're like in the top 100 in the world in Halo right now. Like, we're some of the, and then we go to tournaments and win and do really good and all of that stuff. And I'm like, man, there's something here, because it's just like the internet. We were living, when you put the headset on Xbox Live and you have your friends, you're living in a community, in a society that people don't even know exists.
Yeah.
Right? They don't realize there is hundreds of thousands of millions of other kids doing the same thing I'm doing.
Okay.
So it's not this small knit community that people think of for, like, oh, you're being antisocial and you're not meeting with people. I'm like, no, I'm talking to hundreds of people every day, all day. Mm-hmm. And we have the same interests. So eventually my parents were like, look, you're not making money at this. You're not going anywhere. You've flown to different states and you've done all these tournaments, and the money it's like early Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no money really behind it. It was an expense.
You won, and you were the best in the world, and it was
cost you 10 grand.
And you were out 10 grand, and you got a pat on the back. And then in that particular community that to most of the world did not know it exists, you were the fucking man.
But they saw your gamer tag, and they were like, oh my God, we saw you. You're a beast, that kind of thing. And I kept telling them, like, no, this is going to be huge. This is going to be huge. I'm telling you, like, there's something here. It's growing. No. You need to go get a real job. And so eventually I was like, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
Like, I got to make money. So I kept playing, but I didn't take it as serious. 2019, 2020, something like that. It started earlier before that, but then Ninja, if you're familiar with, he blew up on Fortnite. Mm-hmm. Because COVID, everybody was inside, right? And before COVID blew up video games, people don't even realize, like, it took it to the next level. He played with Drake.
No shit.
Had a game. He was a big streamer during COVID. Everybody was watching him, sharing him. He's a big time, whatever. Drake got on and played with him, and Travis Scott. And I think it was another athlete. I can't remember if it was Tyreek Hill or it might have been Juju Smith-Schuster. I can't remember. Or one of the other Steelers wide receivers. But all four of them played in a game together, and it brought all this attention. So everybody started watching it.
Because now all these people that are football fans that love these guys are like, oh, they're playing this fucking video game.
That's exactly how it happened, bro. That is how it happened. He blew up. It was the most viral video that's ever gone online. The Fortnite went through the roof because Drake was playing Fortnite. So everybody wants to play Fortnite. All the console sales started happening. People wanted to jump on Fortnite. All the dads started playing. Parents started playing. Video games became cool, became norm.
Yeah.
So now it wasn't like, oh, Rick's this nerdy kid that only plays his games and doesn't really talk to anybody. Now I was doing everything that everybody else was doing.
Now it's normalized.
But I gave up on it.
Like a decade prior.
And so then they would send me videos like of him being he got $100 million contract from Twitch or whatever it was. And they're like, oh man, Rick, this could have been you. And I'm just thinking, why isn't it?
Fuck.
Because you told me that it wasn't possible and I believed you.
It's so funny. Like, again, not to keep bringing my dad up, but it was like he was talking to me a little bit about like, because I mean, he's an entrepreneur like in his own right, like through the bank and everything. Like they do stuff that is completely different from what like is traditional banking. And he's like, yeah, it's really funny. Like you'll come up with an idea. A lot of people will tell you it's a very bad idea. You will like fight to try and get them onto your side. You'll actually go through with it. It works. And then they're like, I'm so glad we all had this great idea. Actually,
I knew you could do it.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, you'll sit there and like you take all of the heat for however long of like, this is a fucking terrible idea. This will never work, like whatever. And then when it works, like, it's like, oh, we believed in you the whole time. And he's like, yeah, but then you have the fucked up idea that doesn't work. And it's like, I don't know, you got to throw a bunch of ideas at the wall and see what sticks.
So that happened to me in my regular life with my family. When I was growing up, I moved out of my house when I was 16 years old. Didn't like authority.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Thought I could do my own thing. Tired of them, and got really bad on drugs, going with the wrong crowd, hanging out with the wrong people, doing all those things, right? And as my life started going downward and playing video games all the time, my family behind the scenes would always be like, I don't know what happened to Rick. He was a great student. He has all this potential. And I would hear all this. He's never going to amount to anything. And they didn't tell me, but people told me. You know what I mean? And so then as it started to happen, they started to change their tune, which, looking back at it, rightfully so, they were right. At the time, there was no vision.
Yeah.
Potential isn't enough. You got to actually execute and deliver, right? And so now it went from that to having a lot of support where they say that same thing, like, oh, you've always been that guy, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, have I?
Not necessarily.
Have I?
You're like, but there was a lot of shit they got to talk.
But at the same time, I totally understand that, so I don't judge them for that. It's my fault that they even felt that way because I don't need someone else to see my vision.
Okay.
I need to see my vision, and I never put a product on the table for them to believe in. Right? There was nothing for them to believe in, so why would they? Other than I care about you as a person and I see your potential, right?
Yeah.
So then as I started to deliver, that same thing happens. And I think the best thing you can do, the best quote unquote revenge, and I hate to use revenge because it's a harsh word against family that didn't really have any ill intention and friends like that, is success, right? You just smile in their face, shake their hand and say, hey, man, thank you so much for your support all the time. Hey, appreciate it. You know what I mean? One of my favorite things to do to haters is to shake their hand and smile in their face. That's my favorite thing. I have haters at every gym I've ever been at.
Really?
And guess what I do? Hey, brother, how you doing? Hope you're doing good, man.
You have people like talk shit to your face in gyms, or
no, never to my face.
Just people that you've heard are like sending shit around.
Yeah, they gotta send DMs to their buddies' friends and talk about this on the side of the mat and this and that, and they never want to be. They're 40-year-old men that can't have real conversations.
Are they like talking shit like you predominantly about the videos and stuff that you put out, or like?
It's always something different, man. Like I said, what I've realized about my life is people are gonna try to find the chink in the armor.
Yeah.
Because here's one of my number one quotes, and this has happened to me from interactions in new relationships and friends. In this society, people don't know genuine when they see it. They have to believe that if you're doing something good, there has to be an alternative motive. He can't be that good. He can't be that nice. The reason why he's helping at the school is because he wants Jacare to love him more. And the reason why he's doing this is because he wants that. And because, no, dude, it's just what I like to do.
What do you think like leads to that mentality?
I think it's deep rooted in insecurity of people knowing they're not doing what they should have been doing. So I'll give you an example, and this is no knock on anybody. I'll just use it. I won't use any names, but black belts that have been at your gym for a very long time that never became instructors, never became competed, don't help at the gym, nothing like that. They want to hate on you because you used to be a blue belt and they've always been ahead of you, and now you've passed them, and now you get all the attention. You're the front center guy. You're with the pictures with all the kids. You're coaching. Everybody talks about how much they love your class. They see your videos online. You're doing all these things, and he's like, oh, he was just a blue belt. Like, how do you pass me up? I should be the blah, 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 blah. But you never did the work.
Yeah.
You had the opportunity. The difference between me and you is I actually just went and did it. Nobody asked me to do it. Still to this day, no one's ever asked me to teach a class, coach at a tournament, do a seminar, none of that. I just did it because I wanted to do it. And that's the reason why I like to do it. It was never forced upon me, and they just didn't do it.
What got you into coaching?
I've always been, especially with my family has always been humanitarian. My mom is the biggest giver I've ever met in my entire life. She will give her shirt off her back so that she can't eat the next day. And so it's just been who I've been as a person. Every job I've ever worked at, I've always been the trainer and I've always been the helper. Even when I was playing baseball, I was always coaching and helping. That's just who I've naturally been, and I like to do that. I always tell people I don't like to see people go through the same struggle I went through. So it just naturally happened. So at Alliance, all I did was I would come on the mat. Before, I was always there early because I'm obsessed with jiu-jitsu, right? And I would just start helping and coaching and, teaching. And then Leo would be like, hey, I need you to be the uki. Can you be the uki? Okay, cool. I'll be the uki. And then one day he was like, hey, I got to go to a seminar or something. Can you cover fundamentals class? And I was like, sure, right? And so I covered fundamentals class, and I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. And you could teach techniques and show people all the cool stuff right? And then it just kind of grew from there. Right. And then people started to respect me a little bit more and like, oh, Rick's good. And they started asking me more questions. And then they're like, hey, would you like to just take over fundamentals and teach on Monday and Wednesday? Because Leo teaches 30 classes per week. And I was like, sure. And then they started teaching me their methodology, and Jacare would teach me. And then I just started getting better at it, and just kind of fell in love with it. And then eventually I started competing, and then I would help the next guy who's competing, like, hey, man, here's what I learned, and maybe you should work on that. And then it just slowly grew and grew and grew until you get results and people earn your respect until they're just like, you just kind of, it just happens. Like, I don't know.
Cool.
I just become the instructor at the school, one of the instructors, right? I become one of the coaches, one of the competitors, and it just kind of organically happened over time. Again, to this day, still nobody's ever asked me to do it. And it just kind of happened. It's kind of crazy.
Is that how you got into reffing too? You're just like, fuck it, I'll just, learn how to ref? Or
Yeah. So I thought it was cool. And somebody offered me, I think I needed money at the time. And he's like, $200. We'll teach you the rules, as long as I think I had to be a brown belt when I started. Okay. And I was like, I think I can do this. I was a competitor, so I knew the rules really well, and I did it. And for me, I like to be involved in jiu-jitsu, and I really love, and I'm on fire when I can help and encourage other people. So a part of reffing for me is I like being close to the athlete so that I can help them and help their emotions. So I'm really big on like motivating. When I'm a referee, if you guys ever watch me at like these normal tournaments, I'll go up to them and say, hey guys, we're going to have an awesome match. You're going to do great. I know you're nervous. Don't worry about it. You guys are going to have fun. I'm going to make sure everybody's safe. Let's just go out there and do our best. Right? And then I watch their emotions. And sometimes when I'm reffing and I see a little kid starting to cry, I'm encouraging while I'm reffing. Hey, man, don't worry about it. You're in a great position. You're doing great. Just stay focused. Suck up the tears. Keep fighting. And as a referee, you're not really supposed to do that. But when I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I should. Because that kid needs that help. He needs that motivation. And most of the people outside of the ring and their parents, I had this, one of my cousins was wrestling one year, right? And he was 10 years old. And his parents were really aggressive about him losing. And he comes off the mat, and they're just yelling at him, why did you do that? And you don't do that, and blah, 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 blah. And he wanted to quit. And so he goes and sits against the wall, and he's like, I'm not fighting my next match. And so I just go over and sit with him. I'm like, bro, what's going on? He's like, oh, well, they're yelling at me, and there's so much pressure, and I just lost. And I just looked at him. I said, brother, those people have never been in that ring before. You are a lion. They are a sheep. When do lions listen to the opinions of sheep?
How old is this kid?
10 to 12, maybe.
That's cool.
And he's like, you're right. I said, your parents over there? I said, look at them right now. They have no idea how hard this is, brother. You're doing something that only 1% of the population is even willing to do. You are a savage. Win, lose, or draw, they don't know what it's like. So don't listen to them, man. Don't listen to them. Okay. And so I try to do that same thing for these other people to let them know that, like, the people on the outside, their opinion does not matter because they don't know what it's like to be in there. They have no idea. Have you ever competed?
Once.
Dude, it's scary as shit. Like, your adrenaline, the pressure of the people watching. I tell people all the time, when I motivate my students, when we're training, I said, tomorrow there's going to be parents out there filming you on their phone, can't wait to clip you and put you on YouTube to make fun of you. Is that going to happen to you or not? And they're like, ooh, that's real. I'm like, no, it is real. Another person is going to try to break your arm in front of his family, film it, and live it on the internet for the rest of your life. How hard do you want to train right now? Right? And that's the part that people don't realize. Like, another thing is, like, you think about, and I think about this with my family. Anytime I always think about this, dude, even in black belt, 5 minutes before the match, I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is stupid. I want to quit. I'm leaving. I'm not doing this. My stomach hurts. Give me a reason, God. Please give me a reason to get out of here right now. And I always think to all the people, this is my number one motivation in jiu-jitsu. All the holidays, birthdays that I missed for jiu-jitsu. My family sacrificed time for me so that I could chase my passion. And now I'm just going to quit and give up and not give my best effort. And that's what it amounted to. I sacrificed all my family time to quit and give up like that? Nope. Not going to happen. I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for them. Nope. These people came to watch me. They came to watch me. It's my duty. I owe it to them that I show up and I go up on that mat and I fight no matter how I feel, no matter what.
That's fucking cool.
Because I think that's the best way to do it, dude. Because I'm telling you, even at black belt, still to this day, I'll be like, dude, I'm gassed. I'm on cardio. My back's strained. I can't do it. I need to, your body's anti-jiu-jitsu. It's in preservation mode. It's like, right? And I always have to be like, who's in charge here? Who's in charge here? Who's in charge? I'm in charge. We're doing this. Kobe Bryant said one time, the contract was signed in the preseason. We're doing this. We're waking up at 6 a.m. We're shooting 500 shots. We signed the contract in the preseason. We're not breaking that contract. And it's the same way with that tournament. As soon as I sign up, that's why I sign up early. I'm committed. Can't back out now. I'm committed. I got to do it. So for me, my biggest motivation to keep going at jiu-jitsu is signing up for competitions, because it goes back to who I am as a person, where I need that pressure. Now, what motivation do I have? I'm an instructor. I'm a black belt. I don't have to do anything. I've already made it. So now I can chill and not push myself unless I have a tournament. And I think that's why a lot of black belts get fat. They don't have that drive anymore. They don't have push. They don't have nothing to chase. A tournament keeps me chasing somebody. Keeps me I better work. Hey, man, I got to hit the sauna because that guy on the other end, he can try to hurt me in front of my family. And that ain't happening. And so that's how I motivate myself. That's the internal motivation I need. I need external pressure to get to the levels I need to get to.
I can relate to that.
Because I'm already a B athlete in jiu-jitsu, a black belt. Remember, I talked about that. I've already reached the level so I need that external motivation to push me. Which then turned into my new external motivation is, and I think it was Ansley. Don't quote me on this. I apologize. But she sent me a message one time, one of our blue belts. It might have been another blue belt or white belt. And she said, I think it was after the last Atlanta Open. She's like, I just want to let you know that it means so much to us to see our coaches out there in the same game we're doing, in the same fight with the same struggles. It motivates me so much. Like, we love seeing you out there. Like, thank you for competing. And I'm just like, it's not about me anymore.
That's like real leadership.
Yeah, it's not about me anymore. I go out there and we tell our people all the time in the gym, I'm never going to ask you to do something I haven't done 12 times. Right? I'm signing up for competition because I'm like, how can I motivate you? Come on, guys, we got to sign up for Atlanta Open. We got to represent our gym, because that's what I'm about. We got to defend our city. Alliance is the best in the city, and we need to prove it. I don't care about any of these other tournaments. I want to win Atlanta. But I don't sign up and I don't defend my territory. That don't make sense to me.
Interesting. This is motivating me to go sign up for a tournament.
Yeah, let's go, man. So, yeah, I've now, because my internal motivation is low, I've won gold medals now. I have things I want to check off the list, but one of my favorite videos that I made is I've already accomplished goals I said would make me happy.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
I did that at white belt, blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, black belt, and I'm still not happy. I've already accomplished goals I said would make me happy. I was happy when I won my first tournament. I was happy if I get a blue belt. I'd be happy if I get to teach a class, but now I want to teach 3 classes. But now I want to teach the advanced class. And it's kind of like that money chase. It's never enough.
I was going to say, there's always another level. There's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. There's always another level, right? And so now that I've reached all of those goals, I've turned it towards, I have to do these for the next generation. I think one of the most powerful things of jiu-jitsu is the urge and the feeling that it's your duty to pass it on. Mm-hmm. When Jacare retired, this is another thing that really helped me. Jacare retired probably sometime around 2018, 2019. I was a brown belt. We were at Master Worlds, and we were talking about the school. And, I just got my black belt in 2021, and we were at Master Worlds, and we had a conversation. And I said, hey, Jacare, I just want to let you know that I'm doing my best to represent the school. You know, I'm continuing on your legacy. Like, that's very important to me. And, you know, I was asking him, hey, what should I do about this? And what should I do about that? And he said, it's your time, brother. It's your time. I put 60 years into this game. I passed it to you. It's your time. Like, you take it. And I took that so personally, it's not even funny. I tell people all the time, the legacy of Jacare at Alliance will never die as long as I am there, period. You will wear the uniform. You will do XYZ. You will respect this. You will follow all the things that he made me do. You will do it too as long as I'm there. Because we've had a tendency to kind of get lax and kind of like, oh, not a big deal, not a big deal. But that's not the same experience I got. Right? And if we're trying to change people's lives, and jiu-jitsu changed my life drastically, but I'm not giving them the same experience, is that fair to them?
I would say no.
And people don't think it's the little things, but the little things matter. I tell people all the time, the level of effort you put in here is a level of effort you put outside the mat. So he used to tell me all the time when we're running circles around the gym, like, hey guys, don't cut corners. Run the full length of the mat. If you cut corners here, you're going to cut corners in life. Right? And so I try to hold our students to that same level. Like, guys, you're cutting corners. What are you doing? I'm trying to be that same person. So I take that very personally, of like, especially for a person who brought jiu-jitsu to Atlanta, who gave me so much opportunity. He was my first client as a marketing agency.
Really?
He gave me my first chance. I was in automotive. He said, hey, Rick, you do marketing. You think you could help me grow my gym with some Facebook ads? I'm like, I don't know, but I'll try. Set it up, followed some courses, did some things, had success. And I was like, oh, this actually works. And then he referred me to Rafa dos Santos, who's in Greenville, got him as a client. And that's how I started to, and then I got Travin and at Team Octopus. And that's how I grew it, literally. So not only did he change my life with jiu-jitsu and took me for a person who had no dedication, no loyalty to nothing, no work ethic, no plan, nothing, and made me into the person that I am today, but he also was my first client.
He's giving you a lot.
And you think I'm going to let him hand me a baby and I'm not going to grow that baby to a great adult? You are out your mind.
I think that's probably a testament to your character as a person, not wanting to, I guess, betray the trust in a way that someone's given you in a multitude of different ways. Like,
absolutely. And just the level of person that he is and the level of effort he put into, and me believing in jiu-jitsu more than I believe on anything on this entire planet. I believe, this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, I believe in jiu-jitsu more than I believe in religion.
Why is that?
Because their proof is 100% I've seen it. I've seen it. And I can pinpoint, not that I'm agnostic.
Okay.
Because I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
It could be science. It could be the Big Bang Theory. It could be God. Now, I think it's funny as I grow, I start swaying more towards religion and more towards spirituality more than I do kind of the scientific thing. And I think that, I wonder if that has to do with like impending mortality. Like if I'm going to die, I'm like, hold on, maybe if there is a God, like maybe I should meet him by now.
let me get right with him real quick before I meet the end.
Right. It's funny that I say that too, because I think a lot of people think I'm Christian because of the way I talk, because I always say, you know, like God's plan and these different things, and like, oh, you're Christian. And I don't even know if I think like God with a label, if I mean like Jesus or Buddha, but whatever energy is out there that's driving things in a positive direction, I support that thing, whatever that is. Yeah. And I can't, and nor do I want to put a label on it. I'm not sure. He, him, that, whatever you name. Because if you study all the religions and read them, you're like, these are all very similar, and they have similar. They just change the name at the bottom.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I look at it, this is the thing that I always say about Christianity. And I love Christians, and I don't have anything against them, but I'm willing to bet that if I put my best foot forward and I do the absolute best I can to support those around me, have a good life, do all the positive things that I know is the right thing to do, that I'm going to end up in the right place. Whether I sign some kind of contract or I believe so-and-so to be my Christ. And if that is what happens when I get to the gate and he's like, hey, Rick, you lived a perfect life, but you didn't sign the contract and I can't let you in, then that's not the God I want to follow anyway.
It's probably a pretty healthy way to look at it.
And so I have faith, just like when I make jokes about religion and jokes about this, that he also has a sense of humor. Why would I believe that? Because if you believe he created you, then he knows what he created. He made me the cynical person that I am. So why would he hold that against me?
I think that's a far better articulation of a lot of religion than I've heard from a lot of Christians. I went to Christian school for a long time.
My dad was a pastor.
It turned me very hardcore atheist for a period of years, like in the immediate aftermath, just from...
What are you now? Can't even put a label on it.
I hesitate. I've swung a lot more back towards Christianity. The asterisk next to that, the only version of Christianity that I really relate with is more orthodoxy. Just because again, I've not gone too far down the rabbit hole. I've gone to an Orthodox church a couple of times. It seems to me to be a lot more about the sanctification of your heart than it is performative. A lot of the bad experiences I had with Christianity were going to a Christian school where a lot of it was performative.
Absolutely.
And the performance was oftentimes put on a higher level or given a higher level of importance than the underlying belief. Where it was, yeah, sure, he might be going out and getting drunk, but he sings about God really well in chapel on Wednesdays.
And he asked for forgiveness.
And so for that reason, he gets all of this credit. And it's like, but if I'm not going out and getting drunk, but I don't go sing in the chapel, I'm not the same.
Yep.
And we had, I'm not going to name names and throw anyone under the bus. We got split up into my senior year, guys and girls. I graduated with like 50-something people. They split us into 2 separate Bible classes to like prepare us for college. And I had a gentleman that was a grown man tell me someone born that had never, like in an uncontacted area of the world, that had lived a life without knowing, according to the teachings of Christ, if he would go to heaven. And I was told no, because he had not accepted Jesus. My question was, well, if he was never provided a Bible, how could he? The response was, well, he should look out and he should know. And that, I was like, this is the most backwards thought process I've ever heard in my entire life.
One of the challenges I always had was your religion is based off your location of where you were born.
If you're born in Saudi Arabia, I guarantee you're probably not Christian.
So if I'm born Muslim, I'm not going to heaven because this is the environment I was raised in. That, to me, is insanity.
And there's also I cannot speak to the Muslim world, but there is a tendency in Christianity to nitpick and say, well, this is the really bad part about the Islamic religion, and they do these things wrong. I'm like, would you like to look in a mirror? Because there's some stuff in the Bible that I bet y'all probably don't necessarily agree with. And then all of a sudden it's, well, it's not, perfect. It was written by humans, and so we can't expect perfection. Okay, but you're holding yourself to a different standard than you're holding these other people to.
That's people in general. They always hold everyone to a higher standard than they hold themselves.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? It's the same thing.
And then they rationalize it.
Right. When you're talking about those different religions, for sure, it's based on where you're located, and they make all these judgments. And my dad, he was a pastor, and he was very involved in the Boy Scout, and he believed, and he was all in, right? And then one day, a lady and her child came in that were homeless, stinky, not good presentation, the whole 9 yards, and the congregation voted to kick them out. My dad went in the next Sunday and basically just went off on them and was like, this is not the people I want to be around. This isn't what Jesus was about. Actually, if Jesus would here, he would be sitting next to them, not next to you. And he quit. Never went back, said, I don't want to be associated with people like you. You're not who I thought you were. You're not what I thought we discussed. You guys are living a facade. You're not really living this lifestyle. I actually live it, and I want to separate myself from you. And he completely kind of abandoned it, which is crazy.
And that's having real moral courage and not fake moral courage that you post a bunch of Instagram stories with religious quotes in it.
Or Ukraine flags, or, the same people that tell me, Rick, I don't know why you record your good deeds. You should just do them anyway. And I'm like, let me see what you do. He only donated $1 million. How much did you donate? Did you donate $10? You didn't donate anything. I'm going to make a shirt that says focus on those who do, not on those who don't.
That's pretty simple.
Because there's so many people out in this world that judge from the sidelines.
The story you were telling about your dad as a pastor reminded me of something that also happened. I believe it was my senior year. They were talking about, obviously, pregnancy and that kind of thing. Christian school, very contentious topic. They brought up the point that, you know, if there was a girl that attended school here and something went wrong and she was, you know, she became pregnant. She's 17 years old. She's pregnant. Her parents are freaking out. Oh my God, I can't believe my daughter would do this. Their point was, you know, we would do everything we could to take care of them and we would be there to support them. We would have to expel them because we would not be willing to have that associated with our school. You know, we're upstanding people, and
no blemishes.
I'm sure that none of the faculty have ever done anything that they regret in their life or have had anything go wrong. And if they did, it was just coincidentally when no one could see it, and so they could hide it and pretend it didn't happen, and then stand on their soapbox. And that was a lot of the part of the, call it like the Western Christianity, that I was like, this can't be right. Like, you cannot sit there and say, oh, this is all about forgiveness of sin and to love your neighbor. And then when someone sins and needs help, you close the door on them and go, damn, sorry about that. I was like, that's not love.
My grandfather, one of the last conversations I had with him about religion, and I told him all these things. Like, if he knows me, like, why would he think that? And I told him, I said, listen, if the number one most important thing in my existence is knowing you so I could go to heaven, right? And he knows me better than anyone, and he loves me better than anyone, but he can't make it 100% clear to me. You're holding back from me, right? I said, I don't even know you that well, Dallas. Mm-hmm. We're friends, but I don't know you that well. If there was something that I knew that could change your life for eternity, I would do whatever it took to tell you, and I don't even know you that well. That's and fair. You're trying to tell me that this person who loves me more than my mother won't make it blatant. He put me in a world where I need proof. I live in a scientific world where I need to see it. And you're not going to give me that physical proof. You're going to use all these miraculous things and, well, you know, deja vu and those feelings you had and these miracles and everything happens. And I have to believe through that, just pure faith. But you raised me to where I need proof. That's not somebody who 100% loves people.
I've never heard it articulated that way.
You see what I'm saying?
I see where you're coming from.
Because if I was Jesus, and no offense, he understands me. You understand where I'm coming from. I would come down to this planet and show you.
Yeah.
I would not leave it up to chance. Why would you do that? You don't leave it up to chance to people you care about.
Yeah, you do everything you can to make sure that they're okay.
You do everything you possibly could. In the environment, in the society that they live in. And that's my biggest challenge. And so my dad told me, or my grandfather, and we went through all these different things, you know, like, well, what if I'm a good person? And if I don't believe, like that, and based on location, if that's where I'm born. And, you know, maybe when these people were thinking about religion, you know, they used to think the weather was the power of God until they realized, like, oh, this just happens every 4 months.
Yeah.
It's not magic. It's
not
science.
Because we did a rain dance. It's not because whatever happened. Yeah.
But maybe they wrote books based off that because that's the way they thought. They thought that their crops dying was God's way of punishing them when really it was just weather or, you know, termites or whatever it was, right? Because they just didn't understand. And those are the books that we're following and reading right now from people who, no offense, were kind of ignorant.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't want to say it that far because maybe they were more connected with something because they were less distracted by the things we're distracted in right now. So I talk about all the time, and I don't want to get too far off topic, about people talk about automation being a bad thing. When AI takes over, people are going to be dumb. Google, they don't even have to know anything anymore. And you can look at it that way and say, okay, society's going to get dumber. They don't need to know as much because they have a calculator, for example. You don't need to know math. But maybe that frees up your brain to connect to something higher.
Yeah.
Because now you're not thinking of all the mundane things with the math and how I add up and who's the 17th president. And it could take me time to just sit here and live and like feel more energies. Maybe there's another dimension. Maybe there's another sense that I have turned off because I'm so caught up in these modern technologies and all these different things.
I think people will either take it that way, like in your direction, because that's the type of person you are, or they'll take it to go further into mindless consumerism.
Yep.
And mindless distraction. And, okay, well, that's more time for me to drink, smoke, gamble, chase women, whatever your distraction of choice is.
Yep. So I go back to my grandfather. The thing he told me that changed my perspective and made me open up, I'll say, to religion is he said, it's not that you don't like religion, it's you don't like the modern church.
That was mine.
And I was like, maybe that's what it is. I don't like the modern church because I understand religion. I love the Bible. I read it and I'm like, these stories are incredible. The lessons you can learn, they're so awesome. And I just can't get caught up in the people that said, but no, he said the earth was created in 7 days. I'm like, it's a freaking story, bro.
Another point of contention I had in Christian school, not to keep jumping off topic, it was told to me that the earth was created in 7 24-hour days. My question was, why are you confining this omniscient, omnipotent creator of the universe to your understanding of the 24-hour day?
Or time. Yep.
And that was not received well.
What if, I thought about this too, what if there is no beginning and end? Well, because I think all the time, well, how did we start? What if the thought of start is just something that we created to put time on things so that we can measure it better?
So that our brains can comprehend
So
it.
that our brain could comprehend it. And there actually never was a start, there just an is. And it's kind of the same thing with the biggest struggles I have in life when I think about my existence is I'm never ultimately going to know the truth. Is there a God or not? I don't think I'll ever know that. What is the government really up to? Who's really controlling the society?
That's a whole other discussion.
Right? Is it BlackRock? Is there? We're never going to know that answer. Yeah. These people are too powerful. I tell people all the time, the train's in motion. You jump in front of the train, you're going to get hit by the train. There ain't no stopping that train. And then understanding, like, how did we get here and what our purpose is? Are we just a parasite that was put on a planet to destruct because humans are destructive creatures? Or maybe there is no such thing as purpose. Maybe we need purpose so that we feel fulfilled when maybe this is just this is just it. It just happens and things go on and you accomplish, you don't accomplish, whatever, rinse, repeat. And the earth's just like, wash them up, next one, wash them up, next one. And you really mean absolutely nothing. And your only purpose is for yourself and to live for yourself, and there's nothing else outside of that. And that to me is wild to even think about.
I was about to say that leads to some relatively interesting implications for civilization, because if that's the real case, who's to stop anyone from just saying, okay, there is no purpose, I'm just going to run around and do whatever the fuck I want, and then that leads to a very quick
or hit the nuke button.
Yeah. Well, there's no purpose, so let's just blow the whole thing up.
Right.
There's no whole thing on fire.
Yeah. So I try to live, I tell people all the time that I think if you are not doing something in your life to move humanity forward in some little way, then you've completely wasted your time on this earth. If you collect all the money, all the cars, all the houses, all the gold, all the travel, all the boats, all the accomplishments, you get to the top of the mountain, do you win? Then what?
Can't take it with you.
What happens after that? Is there like a celebration where you're like, hey, you're the most accomplished human that's ever existed? Or is that it?
And you're buried right next to the guy that was the least accomplished human ever.
That's right. So then my focus is, okay, how can I improve mankind and I found my purpose I've always been a humanitarian, and I thought, well, I can't be like a person who travels around right now. I don't have the money. I don't know a way to reach people. How can I train them? How can I help other people? Like, I just have this urge. And man, I'm going to do some incredible things coming up, but stay tuned. You'll be able to check it out. But I found that through jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Because as I started teaching, and then people come up to me, man, you really changed my life, and my kid has been more focused at school and work. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually making an impact on other people's lives. And that's what motivated me to want to do it more. Like, okay, this is my way of helping society, spreading jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Which brings me to why I don't like the meatheads in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. And the reason why I love and respect the Gracies, and people will say, oh, online jiu-jitsu, it's fake, but they're spreading it to more people.
I was going to say, it's just wider adoption.
Right. So if you had to ask me, do we want to keep jiu-jitsu tight-knit community where it's just a bunch of savages, or do we want to spread it to as many people as possible? I want to spread it to as many people as possible. I tell people any jiu-jitsu is good jiu-jitsu. I don't care if it's no-gi, gi, 10th planet, whatever it is. If you're just involved in the community and trying to better yourself through jiu-jitsu, I believe in jiu-jitsu so much that I know it's going to be good for your life. So I just want as many people involved as possible. You don't want to compete? No problem. You don't want to spar? No problem. Just drill over there, work on the technique, stay in our community, stay in the lifestyle, and it's going to make you a better person. And ultimately, it's going to lead to a better society. And so if I could have it in school, if I could have it a required thing, if I tell people all the time, number one thing you want to do for your kid, get him in jiu-jitsu.
I agree.
I don't care about anything else you do. Get him in jiu-jitsu. It's going to completely revolutionize and change their life. And I've seen it hundreds of thousands of times over and over again. That's why I say that I believe in it more than anything else, because it's proven to me.
I agree.
And then here's another thing, and I'll leave you with this as far as like what I told my grandfather. And we talked about Jesus and all of these things and all these great things he's done for you. And one of the things that people can't understand, and I think some people can, is that if I really had to decide who my quote unquote Jesus was, it's my mother. My mother brought me onto this earth. My mother made sure I survived. My mom made sure I eat. When I couldn't pay my bills, my mom paid my bills. When I needed to cry someone, my mom answered the phone. She was the one who sacrificed for me. She was the one who put herself on the cross so that I could go to college when she's never been to college. She was the one that, right? And so for me, when people stand up and they're finishing the UFC fight and they're finishing this, and the first thing I want to give is shout out to my Savior, Lord Jesus. And I respect all of that.
Yeah.
But to me, it's my mom.
Yeah,
my mom is the one who personally sacrificed every single day. First thanks goes to her. My second thanks goes to my entire family for sacrificing their time for me. My third thanks goes to my coaches and my teammates who train with me and grind. And then my last comes to me. Right? Because I actually give the thanks to the people that put in the work, that are here with me, grinding with me all day, every day. Now, does he get some respect? Absolutely. Thanks for helping me live this life and be successful, whoever that is out there. But we got to give more credit to the people that are in the grind with us every single day. And I don't think they get enough of that.
I would agree with you. This is not the direction I thought this was going to go.
No,
and the slightest bit.
I'm fucking wild, bro.
Dude, this has been fun. We are well over 2 hours.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
We've been in here for like 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Sorry, bro.
That's fine by me, dude. This was fun as shit.
Fucking love it.
Thank you, Rick.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a hug after the fucking after this camera cuts off. But yeah, this was fun, man.
Yeah, let's do it again. Exciting.
Fucking tell me when, man.